Hey, what up, everybody? As you guys can tell, I was not prepared to do this stream. I didn't even set anything up. I don't care. I'm going all natural. The only reason I did is because Chris came in and he looked so beautiful. I was like, man, he's going to be on camera. And Cheshire, she's always looking beautiful. She's going to be on camera. I'm going to look like shit, and I'm going to go on camera. Sounds good. I don't care. I'm having a rock star and just chilling. So, anyways, saw your stream, Chesh. Most of it. If you guys haven't checked it out, go over to her channel, and she has read all this on her own channel. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to read all this because she's already done it. Go look on her channel and watch that. But I am going to point out some things that I think of interest in this particular order, and of course the arrest warrant, and answer you guys' questions. Because a lot of people like you foreigners, Chris, you guys don't have something like bonds. You don't do bonding, bail bonds.
Yeah, we kind of do. It's just called bail.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, bail bond.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bail bond. We just call it a bond or a bail or from a bond.
Yeah, it's done a bit different. You don't get to pay 10% and have a bondsman chase you with a bounty hunter when you skip town. It's yeah.
That's the fun. That's the fun part.
Oh no, see here you've just got to pay it all, and if you don't show up, you lose it.
What happens when you can't afford it all? That's the whole point of having a bondsman, because most people can't afford to put up that amount of collateral.
No, well, because it's your circumstances are taken into account.
Oh, so it's based upon your level.
Yeah, so if you're a multi-millionaire, your bond or your bail is going to be higher than, like, you know, if you're anyone else.
Okay, and that, I mean, there is something to that extent here, but it is based upon the offense more than anything, right? So they
that comes into it as well. We try not to lock people up unless it's like a really they need to be locked up.
Oh, we do it frequently. It's the American way.
Oh, yeah,
you get a jail, and you get a jail.
Oh, you get locked
your
up
prisons are for profit, so I don't know what you would expect.
Exactly. So the way it works down here is that if he has a $10,000 bond, the way it would work for people that aren't familiar with that system, he pays 10%, $1,000. That goes to the bail bondsman. That's done. He doesn't get that back. The bail bond then puts up a $10,000 security bond to the court, and if he fails to show, that court gets that money, and then they go after him for restitution, and then they owe him $10,000. So,
is it wrong of me to kind of really want him to kind of skip out on that, just so we can see like one of those bounty hunter shows where they're chasing down Kyle?
He won't play. He won't pay bond. He won't get bond.
I mean, I'm very curious. What do you mean? He's totally got a definitely rich and totally not just poser Australian friend who's got definitely has a lot of money and definitely isn't just a poser.
Or they could just do another fraudulent GoFundMe. You know, they always love fraudulent GoFundMes. That would be apropos to have one for that, right?
I don't know if GoFundMe would allow that.
They don't, but it doesn't matter. That's why it's fraudulent.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's fraudulent anyway. I see your point,
yeah. James Jarvis, $5. Here you go, Steve. Money that Kyle can't touch. Big fan, brother. Keep up the entertaining podcast. Thank you. I really do need to start doing an actual podcast again. I know people use podcasts for like YouTube, and I get that, but I want to actually maybe with Cheshire one of these days get that going with a podcast or something. That'd be fun. Vandella,
we will have all the podcast streaming stuff.
Hopefully.
Well, we'll have all that stuff back once we get all the non-sequitur stuff back. So all those accounts will be back.
By the way, people don't realize, you know, when Kyle was like, oh, Steve doesn't do anything. It took me 2 hours a day to cut those podcasts. First, I had to go through and eliminate a lot of his which he had scores of, and then I had to process it. I had to get it down like 96 kbs, and then I had to like put the intro on, then I had to render it, and then I had to upload it to the FM site. It's a process. Vandella in 1998, $2. Who's playing you all when this becomes a movie? Brett Spiner has to play me. That's it.
Oh, definitely Russell Crowe for me.
Russell Crowe.
If I get a cameo, yeah.
Well, no, I would say Ricky Gervais.
I probably get Elliot Page.
Ooh.
Elliot Page?
Nah.
I don't know who she is.
No, I don't see that.
The person who played in Juno?
Oh, I do know who she is. Yeah, I like her. She's a good actress. I thought the girl that was in Juno.
They are now go by Elliot Page, yes.
Oh, okay. So she's trans now.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did not know that. Okay.
What about
He's a great actor, then.
Natalie Portman? Do I get a Natalie Portman?
Okay, you could.
Oh,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about Emma Watson?
I'd take that.
Yeah.
As long as she's not singing.
Kristen,
As long as she's not singing Beauty and the Beast.
She is way too annoying to play chess.
Kristen Bell.
You are not that annoying.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's dive into this. We are taking guys' questions, so if you got a question, direct it to me. We are doing a Q&A Ask Me Anything on Monday at 11 o'clock, so a lot of these questions that are unrelated we'll answer then. Justin did ask just something about ex parte means there was overwhelming evidence for TRO that you weren't needed for the hearing. Yeah, that's not what ex parte means. Ex parte means without representation. Here's a fun fact about Uni. He doesn't know fuck all about anything. I mean, it's just, and he doesn't care. So it doesn't.
If you
really
remember,
matter.
don't forget you've got a Trigglypuff in the chat.
He's reliable. I mean, who's more reliable than Uni? He's a journalist.
Yeah, who doesn't know what ex parte means.
I will give him something for consistency. It's not easy to stream and say nothing for 8 hours a day.
Yeah. But if you guys want to know all about that situation, tune in 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time for the next judgment call, and Cheshire and I are taking all your questions. Anything you've ever wanted to know, ask us. We don't care. But anyways, when it comes to this particular topic, as you guys know, Kyle does have an arrest warrant out. I am checking the Wake County arrest records frequently. They do update, I think, every couple hours. So if he does go to jail, hopefully I'll know then, but also my attorney will know as well. They are going to be actively going out to get him. It is a directive to go pick him up. It's not something where it's go along the lines of, oh, if he gets pulled over, he goes to jail. No, it is a directive to the sheriff's department to go get him, make sure that he shows up for the plenary hearing. And there's a return receipt requested on that particular document saying he was, he was picked up or he was not, and then why he was not, executed, or why it was, or when it was, and things of that nature. So. Anyways, Chester, you already went over this document. It basically, nothing really that great in it, to be honest with you. There's a few minor points, but for the most part, it just regurgitates.
A lot of it is like, this is what happened. This is what the court is now saying is the fact of the matter. Here's a summary of all that stuff, and here's the conclusion based on that summary. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. It's savage sounding though. This is probably the most aggressive order that's come out of this court yet that I've read.
Oh, by far, yeah. This is where the judge has said we're done.
This is the new judge. This is like the first order of the new judge. Besides, like, hey, we've moved the hearing.
Let me ask.
This is Kyle's last chance.
What you got to appreciate too is the courts don't like it when people waste their time. Right. And when they're intentionally trying to be fraudulent in a very obvious way.
Damn it, Steve! Why are you wasting the court's time by serving?
I got no time in my hands. Yeah.
Steve's just dragging all this out by holding on to information.
Why are you
doing
this to Kyle,
second.
Steve? Why are you doing this to Kyle?
God damn it, Steve!
Oh, so okay, yeah. I read this as the same tone that you read it as. I really did. That. She obviously has gotten up to speed on things, and she's not messing around. As a matter of fact, I noticed
it's pretty savage.
I noticed some wording in here that wasn't in the last one, because I even pointed out to my lawyer that she didn't note in there from the original, and that we were specific on, like, oh, this is not what the original order has said, and I don't think she was aware of it. She is now. My lawyer has, fixed this stuff. So anyways, Peter Harrington asked, Steve McCrae, so he may spend a few weeks in jail then. If he gets picked up, for example, like tomorrow, he will stay in custody until the hearing, in which case they'll do a plenary hearing for the criminal contempt, which means he can have either censure, which is basically rebuking, a $500 fine, or 30 days in jail, or any combination of that. He's going to get a 30 days in jail.
And if he was to get picked up like tonight, then it would be 2 weeks, because the hearing is 10 a.m. on the 15th. So that is exactly 2 weeks from today.
Unless he posts bond.
So not next Thursday, the Thursday after. Unless he posts, unless his definitely rich and totally not posing friend from Australia. I mean, Steve has a not posing rich friend from Australia that's been helping out. It's only fair if Kyle gets his own, right? But of course it's going to be like low cast.
I knew him. He was my friend first. Stop it.
Low cat. No, listen. If it's going to be Kyle, it's got to be on par with where he's always at with Steve, which is like low subpar discount.
Now I just want to defend my country here, because I just want to talk about Kyle's friend who's from Australia. Kyle's friend from Australia or as I call him, the failed beer salesman. He's not in Australia anymore. Yeah, he's we got rid of him years ago.
We're going to get into that, actually, Chris. Yeah, there's a thing in here that we're going to talk about for his friend. That is of great interest, actually.
So here's a question then. So let's imagine Kyle manages to avoid being arrested for 2 weeks, but then shows up to the hearing at 10 o'clock on was it the 15th?
Yes, July 15th.
Yeah. Okay. So if he can avoid that, he won't be arrested at this stage.
Oh no, he'll be arrested when he gets there, because he'll be found guilty for the criminal contempt because he didn't show up. So he's guilty on that. That'll probably give him 30 days. He's also still in contempt of court. He actually is in contempt of court for the civil, because the way it works in America, if you have an order to show cause for contempt and the judge approves it, that means that now the contemptor has the burden to show why they should not be in contempt. It shifts the burden to them. So we've already made our case that he's in contempt. So it's assumed he's in contempt.
Before we get into the fraud stuff as well.
And that's an entirely different issue, actually, believe it or not. That has to go through the district attorney, who we have been in contact with. That's in a whole different. That's like unrelated, unless this judge decides to go directly to the DA, which we're going to be bringing up hopefully in the next hearing. But we've already sent some stuff up to the DA.
I'm curious to know if some of that submitting of fraudulent evidence would apply to the contempt stuff. I don't know. Could be considered direct contempt. I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
See, but here's the thing. So let me answer these questions and I'll answer yours. Lord Brian, how much time is he looking at? A good 5 years, 10 years? No. I mean, if he went to criminal from the DA, if you look at all the felony counts, it would be probably about 5 years. But they probably usually plead that down to 2 or 3. Take a plea deal. If I had to guess, I mean, this is again pure speculation. I have no way to know that. So I'm not going to put that out there, something that I know to be the case. But there's a lot of felonies involved. Kyle's Goldfish says, yeah, but Steve, will they only try to get him once, maybe twice? It's not a violent or serious crime. He won't be at the top of the priority list, more chance of being picked up by chance later. They'll at least do it once, but even though it's not a priority, the whole point of this warrant is to ensure that somebody shows up. The court has says, we want you to show up. They went out there a couple times to go serve the warrant. I mean, not the warrant, to serve the papers. They tried more than once, so I assume they might try more than once to go pick him up. If not, by the second attempt, if we don't hear anything by next week, we will have somebody that we know that is an ex-sheriff to take care of it and tell the sheriffs where he's at, and we'll find him. It's okay. Oh my God, these questions are coming way too fast. Verillion, do you think Kyle will yeet himself so he doesn't have to go? What does that mean, yeet? Josh, I need a translator.
He'd like throw him to get thrown, throw himself out, yeeted.
I don't know what that means.
Yeeted.
We don't know.
What do you mean? That's what it is.
Oh, is that what it is? I just don't understand it. No, at the end though.
Okay, what did they say? Read it again.
Don't you think?
I didn't see it.
Don't you think Kyle will yeet himself so he doesn't have to go? Y-E-E-T.
Oh yeah, throw himself.
Okay.
I mean, that's okay, so if somebody was going to jump off the flat earth, they'd be yeeting themselves.
James says, how did you and Kyle meet? Not going to get into the background of that. We have that another long, that's many other stories.
Ask that during the AMA.
Yeah, that's fine. You can ask in the AMA. Okay, so what was your question again, Jesh? It's so long, I don't remember.
Oh, I was asking about whether or not the fraudulent evidence would count against him in the contempt hearing.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure it's going to get brought up. The reason being, and I've discussed this with my lawyer, is we don't want double jeopardy to attach, right? So if he has a contempt hearing for some of the things he has done because of the willful things that he's perpetrated on the court, and he gets found for contempt for that, and he only gets 30 days, I don't think they can go after him for those crimes later on because double jeopardy attaches. Not sure about that, but that's a different contempt thing. And I was going to bring up the fact that even in this order, if you look at the very last thing, did you notice that they ordered him to do an additional thing, Josh? About changing his mailing address?
Yeah, that was already an order to him. They just made it far more aggressive and explicit. So he had always been responsible for updating his address with the court, and he did not do so. So they again said, you need to get yourself set up with the e-filing, like you are. Like we already know you're familiar with it, and then they sent him instructions on how to do it and ordered him to do that specific thing as well as update any address changes.
Yeah. Did you notice they sent him the information of how to do it to be very clear to him? And I'm thinking they're looking at giving him another possible contempt charge if he doesn't do that. Possibly. I haven't talked to my lawyer about that. It seems like that's the case. So they're like, hey, you have all this information. We've already said we know that you know how to use it. We've ordered you to do it. It's an order. And if he doesn't do it, that's another criminal contempt charge. Right? Anything you want to add on that, Chris?
I'm just still trying to wrap my head around, if he hadn't have gone down this path, he'd be the 50% owner of an even bigger channel right now. He probably
have a quarter million subs, probably
made more money than he ever hoped to rip off from you. Mm-hmm. And now instead he's going to jail. It's just, the whole thing's baffling.
But of course, why would he lie? Because he knows what jail's like. I mean, he said that. Well, I mean, come on, dude. First of all, Uni vouched for him. I mean, come on. How could Kyle be lying? Uni said he knew that Kyle was telling the truth. I mean,
what baffles me is he had some expert legal advice as well. I mean, he had the best of the best. So I just don't understand how he's lost.
I don't know. You know, he had all the evidence, clearly. You know, I clearly didn't know what the hell I was doing in any of this.
I'm pretty sure there's... Sorry.
I was going to say, not to mention the holy people of the atheist movement have had his back the whole time. So, you know, there must have been some divine intervention.
Well, he was a gay atheist. He checked 2 boxes. He was well loved, and he had great hair.
I know.
I do recall that I think there's a handful of money that owe some other people some money on bets they took about this.
Oh, he's already messaged me on that. We're already working that out.
Oh, no, not just that. There was that guy that was in Red's comment section.
Oh, that's for $2,000 that he's never going to see.
Right.
Yeah.
What money? You wouldn't be familiar with money you're never going to see from a written agreement like that.
I'm a goddamn expert on that. No, but people knew that I had a bet with Peter Riley. Matter of fact, somebody had to even mention, does Peter, know your PayPal? And I'm like, Peter has messaged me. He is taking care of the bet, which I knew he would be because he seemed like an honorable dude. OPT lawyer says there would just be another layer of the current contempt. Yeah, but it's an additional charge because contempt only has the ability to have a maximum of 30 days. Right, but can you be charged for multiple contempts? Is that I'm not sure how that works. Can it be like you found a contempt for not showing up and then found a contempt for not changing his address? Those are 2 different contempts, I would think.
Is Puck down here?
You're on. Jess, you need to mute. Jess,
Yeah.
You need to mute.
What?
You need to mute.
What?
You need to mute.
There we go.
Jack of Hearts, 5 pounds. Why you guys always hating on Kyle? He did nothing wrong except for the illegal stuff. Also, chess should be played by Emily Browning. There you go.
Yeah, good choice.
I take Emily Browning. Hell yeah. Yeah, sorry, my roommate was like, that my dog's afraid of the fireworks going off. Sorry about that.
Your dog's going nuts today.
He's afraid of fireworks.
Jack has asked if maybe Kyle wants to go back to prison. Maybe. I mean, he thought it was king shit in there. It seems like
3 meals a day.
Yeah, 3 hots in a cot, man. All right. So, anyways, all this was just basically reiteration of things that have already transpired. So I'm not going to go over it again. If you want to read it, go to the website or go to Cheshire channel. She has read it all. It is Mr. Curtis who is now pro se. He actually, no longer has a lawyer. No longer has an attorney because she is withdrawn for citing, let's just say, irreconcilable differences.
It's he lied and got called out.
Yeah, it's Rule 1.1.6, and she cited 147 and 10, which are basically, hey, if I continue this, then I have to lie to the court, and I can't lie to the court as an officer of the court. It had nothing to do with payment. That was number 5, and she didn't cite that.
Well, it's like your lawyer said to him in the deposition. He was happy to walk out. He can show his lawyer, and he would have taken that as being fine. Show the bank records. But if you're not going to do that, I mean, it's pretty damn obvious.
Oh, my lawyer already knew he was lying from the day one. Yeah. When we filed this, he knew that Kyle was full of shit. I mean, he's known this for years. My lawyer's awesome because he's, he never had to question anything that I told him. I gave him evidence galore. Vandella, 1998 for $299. Does this mean the end of the counter? No, the counter's still going because Kyle hasn't paid me anything yet. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. What do you get for making number plates in prison?
I think like $3 a day in some states is the highest I've seen. Some states are like 75 cents a day. I think the highest I saw was $3 in one state.
If you work hard, you'll get $20 a week. That's
$20 a week. That's not bad.
Hey, take it.
There's there's a level of advancement though between your lawyer and Kyle's lawyer. Like your guy is the head of a firm.
Yeah, he's a senior.
People
he's a senior partner.
Questioning if the one working with Kyle is even actually a lawyer.
Yeah, so, and he knew Scotty Lee Forbes, and he had said she's a good attorney and she has ethics. She's not going to tolerate this.
That's not who I'm referring to.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, the New York lawyer.
Oh, that one. Yeah, well, clearly. But yeah,
the one working outside of his jurisdiction.
Well, yeah. Allegedly, I want to go by facts.
Allegedly,
but the fact is on record, and I had a person message me on my YouTube channel saying, well, some of this is alleged, is what's fact. I'm like, well, the fact is that New York lawyer did in fact give Kyle a video that was dishonestly edited and make it appear that I had served Kyle improperly by serving at an old address to get a default judgment. That was the narrative. He did make that video. He did edit it to make it appear.
Yeah, I think it's pretty a fact that he was working with Kyle, period. Yeah. Whether or not technicalities.
It's not uncommon for solicitors to give free advice to people they know, and that's not an issue. Sorry, when I say solicitors, lawyers. Yeah. Sorry, it's an Australian terminology.
We speak your language.
Oh, good. That's good. So it's not uncommon, and where it's not paid, it doesn't count as official advice. There's no coming back.
I can't say that he gave him legal advice. I can't say that. What I can say is he did make a video that was dishonestly edited, and Kyle used that to perpetrate fraud.
If he has done that, he's been involved in a fraud.
Conspiracy.
Whether he's giving free advice or not.
He doesn't have to be giving free legal advice outside of his jurisdiction, or even paid legal advice outside of jurisdiction for him to be involved in the court case, as Kyle had already named him in the court case.
Yeah, no, I think there's
which is all Kyle's doing.
I think there's an argument made for conspiracy. I really honestly believe that there is a good argument to be made for conspiracy, and that has nothing to do with giving him legal advice. It's because, again, facts and evidence. When you submit, Kyle committed fraud in the court. I think this is enough, sufficiently factual to make that statement. I mean, even the court noticed this. The court even said there's evidence for this.
I think even though the evidence is pretty damning, probably should still say allegedly.
Okay. The court allegedly Kyle committed fraud in the court, even though the court noticed that there's some irregularities.
I'm not part of the court case since I'm not Steve. Fuck Kyle. He committed fraud and he worked with Nate Brody. Period.
She's in Canada.
Sentence. Whether or not Nate helped create, whether or not the help and the working together was done to forge documents, or whether it was just assisting in advising about the case as a friend, I consider that still you helped out your buddy.
Yeah, of course. Whether he gave him legal advice or is irrelevant. I mean, only Kyle can really say. And obviously, because he's looking at possible perjury, his testimony is a little bit tainted. But
only Kyle can say anything right now.
Fair enough.
But there's a bunch of information that we may or may not get access to at a later date, which may or may not allow us to potentially do other things with said information.
Fair enough.
I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, given the opportunity to save his own ass, Kyle will throw Nate Northern under the bus.
Yeah. But again, let's look at. I want to make sure this is on the factual records, right? Because people know I go out of my way to make sure I separate fact from speculation. But James Darcy, are you going to hold an art contest of Kyle in jail? If we can get the body camera footage, if my lawyer can subpoena that FOIA request. In North Carolina, you have to have a judge sign off on that. but it's possible. Yeah, then that would be fun. Have an art contest for that.
I feel like I already won the art contest. I've got 2 boobies with like the bird with Kyle and Unirock's face on them in a jail cell. They're 6 feet apart because only one of them's gay. I got Kyle in jail with a big serve stamp on his head. I got him in a different jail with the clown nose on.
So let's look at the facts and evidence. Okay, so let me ask you. You play devil's advocate. You play this. You play the not the solicitor, but the what do you call them in your lands for the person who is representing the defendant?
Solicitor.
It's still a solicitor.
Yeah. So solicitor is just another name for lawyer.
Okay. So but don't they have a names for the counsel, like we have the prosecution versus the defense?
Oh yeah, so you'll have a prosecutor who'll be prosecuting, and then you have normally they'll have whoever's being defended will have a solicitor, just like you have a lawyer.
So let's say you're the solicitor for Kyle. Facts and evidence. Kyle submitted a video testimony, and testified that in writing that I had known that he had moved and tried to serve him and at an old address to have it as a default judgment. That was the narrative that he was running, correct?
Yeah. So if I was his solicitor,
I was thinking barrister. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, a barrister's just like a senior solicitor. Yeah. So if I was his solicitor, I guess the first thing I would be looking at is, okay, was it a bit of willful ignorance on his part, and who was assisting him with getting all this documentation? I'd be putting that question. Well, there's other people involved in getting the documentation. Could they have? I'd be raising the question: could they have actually edited things?
You know what we should do? We should have a mock trial.
Potentially, like unbeknownst to Kyle.
When this is done,
like he still submitted it and signed off on it, but he didn't read closely enough to notice some kind of changing that was going on behind his back.
Especially with his history of drug abuse, that we'd be questioning his mental capacity.
We should have a mock trial on this one day. That would be fun. Okay, but that was a story. So and who created that video that Kyle put in the
submitted?
Court record? That was who made the video? That was Nate. On one of his other channels, Multiple Personality.
Nate made that video, and if I recall, when I was reading through and listening to the deposition of Kyle, he seemed to be repeating a lot when it came to, I should say, repeating rhetoric when it came to Ruhif's analytics. But
okay, so another fact and evidence. Kyle did not move. Is that correct?
In which
the first time
capacity? First time he did not move.
Okay, so any video saying that I had known that he moved in order to get like a default judgment on him.
How could you know something that didn't happen?
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Kyle even testify in deposition that there was no way I could have known he had moved at the time of his moving? Correct.
Yeah, that's part of the court records and has been for months now.
A really, really simple thing. I mean, I assume Kyle has a driver's license. What address was his license registered at? Even if he was staying on a regular basis at Ben's place, that doesn't constitute.
No, he doesn't have a driver's license. He has to go to court on the 15th for driving without a license.
With plates that aren't his. Which is
the same day.
It's the same. He's got his court date for this is the same as the court date for this. He's got 2 court dates on the same day in different counties now.
He can only make one of them.
How fucking stupid are people? Seriously.
Now I will say this: like the one that takes precedence is the order to appear, and obviously he'll have an excuse not to go to the other one.
Listen, that would be a legitimate reason if Kyle was in jail somewhere else, and that's why he wasn't showing up to court orders. That would be one of the things that would be considered reasonable cause to show why he's not in contempt.
That would be a mitigating factor.
They would have those records. They would know that when they put everything in the system, they'd see Kyle Curtis locked up in such and such.
All right. So, anyways, I want to get that out there.
How stupid is this bloke? Seriously.
We only got 4 months.
Look who he's taking legal advice from.
Allegedly.
But here's the thing: all these free thinkers who are taking his side. I mean, if they knew him and he's doing this kind of shit, surely they'd have to know how. Like,
Yeah.
seriously.
So, and as Kyle's Goldfish notes, he said, I believe Kyle's story that he moved. Yeah, I just took him on his word. But that was 3 weeks after the fact, right? I mean, that whole concocted story that I had him served at an old address, that was bullshit. I mean, that was just dumb. Somebody had to help him with that. I'm not saying who, but I believe very strongly somebody had to help him. Kyle's not that smart to come up with that on his own. And especially wrong advice, because obviously in North Carolina it wouldn't have mattered, which, by the way, who's been saying that all along? There's still people out. Oh, by the way, I will say this. Nate has backpedaled on that. Ruhef had pointed out, and I think Kyle's lawyer, the Twitter person, Kyle's lawyer, right now his real lawyer, had pointed out to him in the court record, the judge has said, hey, if Kyle had moved, it still would have been good service to his lawyer, and his lawyer agreed. And you know what Nate's response was, Chris? Because Nate, I saw it.
I can't wait.
Oh, I must have misread that. You're a lawyer for a year now that has misread that after all these people, including OPT lawyer, who is actually a lawyer as well, told him he was wrong about that, and we stated North Carolina law how many times? Yet he backpedaled, and it's like, oh, I must have misread that. You lying.
All about the narrative.
Only misread it for months upon months upon months.
Yeah. That's how they operate. That's how con men operate. Again, they find an excuse, right?
So see, the big question is incompetent or dishonest?
Both. Because you can be dishonest in a competent manner, but he's incompetent about being dishonest.
Well, that's true.
All right. So, anyways, Mr. Curtis was represented by counsel at various times during the case. The court granted his most recent counsel request to withdraw on November 20th. I think that was kind of important they put that in there. I mean, they want it known that even his lawyer quit on him.
Yep.
All right, so...
Well, it's also kind of, if you scroll up a little bit on that, it also does kind of allude to, it says, was represented by counsel at various times. It kind of leads me to think they're referring to his actual lawyer, the note of legal jargon in his initial letter, and the fact that Kyle said he had a lawyer when he didn't.
Yeah,
at the beginning,
know how
which
it
is in the
works,
deposition, by the way. That was in the deposition.
What, that he said he had a lawyer?
Yeah, that he lied about.
Oh, that he lied about having a lawyer. Yeah, he did. He did admit that.
He said in his deposition, they asked him. They said, "Did you have legal counsel at the beginning of this?" And he said, "No, I lied about having a lawyer." And he was specifically talking about lying to KJ, I think, at the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's really weird that his lawyer allowed him to even go to those depositions. I mean, the whole
She
point.
might not have had a choice, and if she thought he was telling the truth, then it makes sense. If she was like, "Listen, this is what my client gave me. This is what we're going to go off of. As long as these are the truth, there would be no problem with the deposition."
She insulated herself. She did nothing wrong. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I'm just explaining what might have been her thought process as to why she would have allowed him to go to the deposition when she had no reason to suspect at the time that he was completely full of garbage.
Well, I mean, the default position you take is if your client is telling you, no, this is all genuine and so on, and they're wrong, your default position is to take your client at their word, because your job is not to make a judgment about your client, but just to defend and or to basically to argue the point for them and to get the best outcome. But I mean, sometimes you just, the evidence is there smack in front of your face. And I would imagine that afterwards, after his deposition, she would have said to him, "Look, can you show me that's actually a really good deal. If we can prove this, and they're going to take my word on it, this is all over and done, and you win."
And he does nothing to show.
Well, during the deposition, he said, "I will provide these to either later today or tomorrow," and that stuff never came to court.
We knew that was not going to be provided. We knew.
And it wasn't
long,
right? And it wasn't long after that before the lawyer request to withdraw. Yeah. So she realized her client was lying in the deposition, and as soon as she realized that he did not provide that information, she could no longer represent him, because she would have been asked, "Hey, where's your client's information?" And she would have had to say, "He doesn't have it because it doesn't exist," which it's fucking nothing.
But don't you think it's odd that Judge Gale had ordered the depositions to see who was lying between Kyle and Ben, and he goes into the deposition to talk about credibility, admitting all the things he lied about? I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be honest, but I mean, at that point, you're just basically screwing yourself. You should have forgot about that.
It's sadly Yeah, it's sadly probably your best move, which means you've put yourself in a really shitty position if that's your best move.
Right, Vandala, 1998 for 5 says, "Oh kids, plaintiff and prosecutor both start with P. Now Kyle has to face both in court now." Yeah.
And no BK.
No BK in prison. All right, so this actually I thought was the big one. Oh, I gotta sneeze real quick. So maybe mute before I. 1 sec, if I make it. Hang on. Right,
okay. So you're muted for everybody else, but not us.
I only have time to mute one.
Thanks.
I'm going to the outside. They're more important. Oh, Chris is going, damn, that was loud.
If I get the coof now, then like
COVID.
You guys are calling it the coof?
Is that what you guys call it? The coof?
I'm keeping that. I like that.
It has to. Well, I just didn't want to do anything to get a stream demonetized.
Okay, but now I need to know, if I start calling it the coof, does that count as cultural appropriation, and am I going to get in trouble, or do I have permission?
Well, look, I'll give you permission, but we'll still have to cancel you at the same time.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. So this part really stood out to me. Number 14. While not required to do so, the court made efforts to have Randolph County Sheriff's Department hand deliver a copy to the court of the court's 19 April 2021 order to Mr. Curtis of his address of record. An affidavit from the deputy who attempted service states that the deputy was unsuccessful in his effort, but was informed by Curtis's mother, who has the present address, that Mr. Curtis had moved to Raleigh 4 months prior. We didn't have to have him notified. We didn't ask for that. That was done by the court.
That was the court acting entirely just in its own capacity.
Yes. And
incidentally, is Kyle's mother potentially in a bit of trouble here? I mean,
not up to us,
because I mean she has kind of.
I highly doubt it. I'm not gonna mislead
there
people.
Has been questions put forth about signatures in the past, so that may be something that comes about when the DA looks at fraudulent evidence.
Yeah, all that would be out of our hands. I said, I doubt it. I'm not gonna,
I mean, you never know. Maybe Kyle was doing a Norman Bates.
I think she was just misled. Honestly, I think she's misled. I don't think she's probably a bad person.
Except for the deposition, and that the signature on the deposition does not match the signature.
There are some questions about signatures. This is true.
Yeah, there are some questions about signatures, which, if one of those signatures is forged, it might not be hers. Like, it might not be her that's signed off on. Like, you know what I mean? Depending on which signature is forged, she's either pretty well entirely acquitted and her son's just a fuck, or Kyle forged another signed document.
It could be one or the other.
Kyle wouldn't do that, though.
No, I know, he's so upstanding. No. I mean, Unirock already vouched for Kyle, said he knew he wasn't lying. I mean,
Steve, why didn't you just
be lying?
All the money is still in an account waiting for you, Steve. Why don't you just take it and resolve all of this?
I don't know why I'm doing this to Kyle.
It's because...
Why is all this going into the public sphere, guys?
Steve's committing fraud as well, don't forget. I mean, Steve's committing that fraud and he needs to hide the money.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, well, don't forget the...
what else are the reason possibly could it be? I mean, that's...
Don't forget, I'm just making a note here because we'll get to that. That the term embezzlement comes to mind. Yeah,
that's because he's already been found liable for what's called fraudulent conversion, which is the civil tort version of embezzlement. If it goes to the DA, I do not know if the DA is going to look at embezzlement. I cannot say that. We are looking at perjury. That is something that is true. We have suggested
just because it's attempted embezzlement and it failed, and it failed so badly that the court didn't even consider charging for it.
Well, we'll get into the financials here in a second. Trust me. Todd says fictitious tags are a felony. Not in, actually, believe it or not North Carolina. It is a class 3 misdemeanor. It is punishable up to 1 year, but it is a class 3 misdemeanor. All right. So even if Mr. Curtis physically moved, a change of physical address does not affect one's email, and it is Mr. Curtis's responsibility to provide accurate information and otherwise comply to the rules of the court. They're making it very clear that Kyle has not complied with the court order to update his information. That's not from us. And again, that's another layer of the contempt. So again, I don't know if that's additional, 30 days or how that works. I just don't know. I think it's just evidence that he's in contempt, and it's just one contempt charge for 30 days from what I
I
understand.
think the point is that it's a lot, and it's probably higher than Kyle can count.
Here,
That's why he didn't give you his money. It got to 30, and he had to start counting from 1 again.
I like this one. Were it not for the potential of, what'd you call it again, Chris?
The coof.
Goof. Why has I've never heard that before?
I don't know.
That's what you guys call it, the coof.
I think I've heard it online. It's just kind of...
Okay, I gotta ask the audience. If you've heard it called the coof, press 1. If you have never heard it called the coof, press 2. I want to know how many people out there have heard it called the coof.
Including the time that Chris already said it, because I know you guys are sassy.
Yeah,
and you're
exactly.
Gonna be like,
Don't be
well, we
sassy.
heard him say it 10 minutes ago.
That's an intrigue feline thing. She would do that. Yeah, don't be sassy. If you've never heard it before the stream, press 2. If you have heard it, press 1. All right, so were it not for the potential of COVID-19 concerns in this unprecedented time, Mr. Curtis's pro se status, Mr. Curtis' earlier, albeit insufficient, attempt to respond to the judgment. That'll come into play here shortly, okay? Albeit insufficient.
Oh, they definitely say that more harshly and worse later.
Yes. They have number 36. So they warn him that the only means of compelling compliance for civil contempt, he should be prepared to place himself in custody of the Guilford County Sheriffs. That is now the Wake County Sheriffs, because he's in Wake County now. But so yeah, 2 people choose. So nobody else has heard this either. So I'm not the only one. Let's see here. Let's see. All right,
So I'm
this-
noticing there's a lot of 2s in the chat, apart from a 1 from Peter, who is also Australian. So maybe it's an Aussie thing. I just
Should be an
didn't
Aussie
realise
thing.
it. Yeah, there we go.
So they had a hearing. It was rescheduled. Let's see here. All right. So now, where was it about the? Oh, it's 36. I think it was, isn't it? Yeah. We'll get this. Conclusions of law. All right. So basically, Kyle's still in contempt. Let's have the statutes for this. He's still in criminal contempt. But 36 here, I want to get down to, because I think this is all just legal stuff. You can go read. Here we go. Mr. Curtis failed to comply with the judgment and failure to appear for not 1 but 2 show cause hearings in order by the court strongly suggest that he has acted willfully to disobey the orders of the court. Nevertheless, the court make no final findings. The fact and conclusions of law with respect to ability or willfulness until he hears from Mr. Curtis. I know people are going to latch onto that. That's normal. That's just basically saying, hey, look, he has a chance to defend himself. Okay, of course, I'm not going to make a matter of law. How could you conclude a matter of law if you haven't had the plenary hearing that he's in, that he's in contempt?
You don't get a default judgment in criminal.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a normal legalese.
You can, but it's...
Yeah, that's just them explaining that they can't, that they think that this is likely, which is why they're ordering a hearing to figure out whether it is, and they will not prosecute or conclude until they've had Kyle in court.
Yes.
Yeah, it's basically their way of saying, you know what, yeah, we know you've done it, and you're really going to be pushing it uphill to try and prove that you didn't.
Okay, I'm missing.
Yeah. And the more you drag it out, and the judge said that like months ago, the more you drag this out, the worse it is. And as it says in this one, the judgment from January 2020 is still in effect.
Do you remember where it was? Where it was talking about the financials? Do you remember what thing it was? Josh?
No, I read 14 pages. Fuck off.
I could find it in a second because I sent the information.
Press Control F.
No, I don't remember the word they used, so here, I'll just talk about
I don't know which part you're trying to find.
The one that says that it was the insufficient, I think was the word they used.
I like the one that you're showing right now. He has neither complied nor made any attempts to comply with the court's judgment since February 3rd, 2020, despite the court's warnings regarding the consequences of his non-compliance. The funny thing about the date there, Kyle submitted his letter of compliance was the day he submitted that was the 4th of February. Which means that they're including his letter of compliance in the neither complied nor made any attempts to comply.
Yeah, what was that?
But his dodgy financials that were put together on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's not even attempt to comply.
It wasn't insufficient.
This, like, his letter and anybody who was involved in that letter just got shot down by the courts so goddamn hard in that one line.
I know this. I thought there's something else, but okay, let's just put it here. I'll be insufficient. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there one of your guys' people's, Chris, a prevalent rich businessman that prepared these financials for Kyle that said people were too stupid to figure out that there were actual financials in the P&L and all this other shit? And the court comes back and says, hey, this is insufficient. This is not what we're asked for.
Well, because
this is a business court. What the hell do they know about financials, man?
Because I remember when all this was sort of happening, and people were trying to get me on the Steve is a meanie poo poo head, and trying to, but doing the whole your channel we'll help your channel grow and we'll do all this, and like to try and get me to turn on you, which is stupid, because it's like really, it's just dumb.
By the way, you're not special. You're not the only one they did that to.
Oh no, I know that.
You're special.
But this advanced business genius who said that most people wouldn't understand, I said, well, send them through to me because I've got a background in business. It was a spreadsheet. It was a spreadsheet with nothing actually detailing what the expenses were.
No invoices, no expenses, no. It's just supporting documents, no bank records,
I can
nothing.
Get a spreadsheet and go, cost for this, cost for this, cost for this, and half of it was Kyle being like paid by the business.
Kyle being paid by Kyle.
Those accounts receivables were padded. I've even talked to Peter on that. Even he admits
embezzlement.
That was ridiculous. And he's an expert on taxes, and he's like, but of course, we're not as smart as your rich friend, Chris, that lives down there.
Well, I just want to be clear.
My rich Aussie friend is better than your rich Aussie friend.
One of these friends is not like the other.
I'll just be your poor Aussie friend. So
it's okay. Our poor Aussie friend is better than your rich Aussie friend.
I'm probably richer than
probably
their rich friend too.
Yeah, probably. I don't know what you mean. He's definitely not a poser.
I don't know. He's
he's
supposedly on vacation, and yet all he thinks about is me, and I'm flattered.
All he thinks about is you and my ass, specifically.
How are those even related, even? I don't even... Those are sort of just concordant things to be having fixations
They're just the two most prevalent things on his mind. He's on vacation enjoying great meals in 5-star hotels, and all he can think about is how much he hates you and loves my ass. It's really bizarre.
Fair enough, man.
Because I mean, it's not like anyone can just take a photo of food and claim it's from somewhere, can they? And even if
I don't even know if he showed any photos, because that's how much I don't even pay attention. But reverse Google image search is a thing.
It's what I find is people who claim to be living the high life and having all this money generally don't.
You mean like Kyle is doing?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's one thing I guess I've noticed a lot in business, and this is kind of sidetracking a bit, but you'll find the people who are talking about the flashy car they drive and wearing the expensive suits, they're generally the ones who have got nothing to their name, or they're just in debt up to their eyeballs. It's the ones. It's the people who have actually got money. Yeah, they'll spend it, but they don't feel a need to.
I'm going on vacation on the 12th for over a week. I'm not thinking about any of you all during that time. Just to let you know. That's not true. Actually, I plan to stream.
I don't believe you. I do not believe you.
I think about you a lot.
Well, I mean, Steve's a liar, so obviously we can't. Yeah, he's a liar.
Chris is one of the few motherfuckers that's awake at the the same time I am. It's like my morning time when nobody else is awake. He's awake, so I spend a lot of time.
You're on Australian time, mate.
Right,
it's good.
Exactly. I'm telling you, my whole schedule.
What am I, chopped liver? What the fuck?
You're awake. Well, sometimes you're hit or miss whether you're awake or not. Well, you're awake, but you're not available. How about that?
Sure.
Okay, all right, let's go with that. Yeah, you have weird hours too. Yeah.
Mind you, generally the only time you stream is the actual hours that I sleep. It's like, I'll see something, it's like, stream started at 6 a.m. I'm just like, what are you doing? Or, like 3 in the morning. It's just like, come on.
Yeah, no, well, I stream, because we do Judgment Call 11 a.m., which is about your morning time. But now when I stream like at 5, that's more of a, 9 a.m. for you or something?
Well, it's 11 o'clock. It's almost 11 o'clock here now. Yeah.
Okay, so. All right, so I thought there was something else mentioned about the financials because I just thought it was odd that even the court saying, "Hey, these were not what we asked for. These are not proper financials." Then you have your failed business Australian guy going, "I prepared these for Kyle. They're of course they're right. People just are too stupid to figure them out." It's like, okay, let's go with that.
I am proud to be too stupid to think that is reasonable.
Yeah, and by the way, hashtag conspiracy. Just saying, just throwing that out there.
There was no collusion.
All right, so talk about conclusion. Here we go. See, conclusion. It is ordered that Kyle show up on the 15th of July. This is a show cause hearing for the criminal contempt, which is failing to show. By the way, has nothing to do with any of the fraud that he allegedly did on the court, which we know he did. But that's for failing to comply with the court order to show up. Then there's also the civil contempt for him failing to comply with the orders of the court. Now, the funniest thing with this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but did I not say if Kyle shows up, this will not happen? He gets out of that. He's done. He doesn't have to. He won't get a stay in jail because of that. Did I not say that?
I believe so.
Yeah. And did I not say that all he had to do was just go to the court and say, look, I turn these things over. Here's my financials as best he can, bank records or whatever, tax records. If he made an attempt, the court would have worked with him. But
it's the court's job. The court's job is to resolve issues. That's the court's job. When two people cannot resolve issues on their own, they get lawyers and they go to the court and the court resolves the issue for them. They're not out for vengeance on fucking Kyle.
Yeah, this is not
They're
punitive.
not interested in trying to make sure he goes to jail, despite what people like Kent Hovind might try to say about their own cases.
Yeah.
It's the court's job to resolve the issue. So if Kyle was actually putting in a concerted effort at any point during this, because as they said, he has not even attempted to comply since February 3rd of 2020, and before that he didn't submit anything. There's nothing submitted by Kyle before February 4th.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of this thing, is for compliance.
So as soon as Kyle started, they are already like, you are not even making an attempt. Had Kyle made an attempt throughout this entire process at any point, they would have worked with him. You saw how, we're in 2021. We know exactly how lenient the court has been. It's outlined in this filing exactly how lenient and how much time and space and resources the court has used to assist Kyle.
So, but go ahead. I got to handle something else.
It wouldn't have been that hard for him to, I guess, put himself a little bit at the mercy of the court, play dumb and just say, look, here's everything I've got. I'm not an accountant. I don't know if I've made a mistake. I'm not too sure, but here's all the documentation. And what that actually does is it actually ties up everything a little bit more, because then things have got to be gone through. Your lawyer will have to go through things, an accountant will have to look at things to then make a determination and a recommendation.
Sure.
And at that point, what he does is he turns around and says, okay, well, oops, I've made a mistake, and in this business dispute, yes, it looks as though I do owe Steve X amount of dollars. And then he makes an arrangement or some kind of payment plan to pay that off over a very long time.
Right, and that's what we were kind of hoping for, and we're willing to work with them on that, believe it or not.
Yeah, that was in the
court wants something like that, right? The court
Yeah.
wants you to do stuff like that. So, again, every single step of the way, I have thrown him lifelines. Every single step of the way, he has been told from our side the best course of action, and then told a shitty course of action from other sides. And guess what? He goes.
Well, the court is also telling him exactly what he needs to do.
Which.
So it's not just. It's not like it's just.
Yeah.
No, you've agreed with the court. There's only a very select group of people that has not been agreeing with the court, and I find it funny that they want to try and resolve their issues with the court with people like us on Twitter. Like, if you have a problem with the court,
and
deal the court.
Do you think a single one of them? And matter of fact, they've even said this. They admitted this. Do you think any single one of them gives a flying fuck about Kyle?
No, look, Kyle's been, in a way, I actually do have a little bit of sympathy for Kyle, because I don't think he's an intelligent person. I think he's been used by a lot of people.
I know he's been used, but I don't have sympathy for him.
He was used by people in trying to take the channel, like people who they saw that there was an advantage for them, and they wanted to get a piece of that non sequitur action. And then you've got all these people who are giving him all this advice, realistically, just so they can do drama shows on their YouTube channels.
Oh, he probably got played.
He has been played, but and these people won't pay for it. They won't pay for it. They'll just go, oh well, Kyle told us lies, and we're just going to wash our hands of it, and nothing to see here. While Kyle, who is dumb enough to have taken the bad advice, is the one who'll suffer. I mean, it's when I say I've got sympathy for him, I don't have sympathy in what he's done. Like, he's done the wrong thing, and he has known what he has done is the wrong thing. But I think that he has I think when you have a narcissist, and you have people saying to that narcissist, no, you'll be right, you'll get away with it, and you're very clever, we'll get that, you're in the right, you're in the right, you're in the right. The narcissist will start to believe it and start to put this narrative in their head of, no, I am in the right. No, Steve's in the wrong, and I'm going to get away with this because I'm too clever for everyone.
I'm just going to jump in here real quick. I just want to say, hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben. Ben, would you like a link?
Hi, Ben.
Would you like to just come in and say hi? If I can get the link without giving it out to everybody else.
There's a lot of stuff that we've already talked about often, kind of just coming to fruition in this kind of filing, where it's just the court acknowledging the facts of the matter. We knew this was happening. Everybody's known this was happening. There's a handful of people that do their best to deny it for whatever reasons that they feel like selfishly benefit them, whether that be self-righteousness or whether that be we don't like Steve and we gotta take him down or whatever drama views. At the end of the day, Kyle's getting used. Kyle, as much as people like to as much as a lot of these people like to joke about who is and who isn't like a lol cow, it's Kyle.
And you know how quiet
Kyle's the one providing the content. If Kyle just complied or actually showed up to fight his case at the beginning, there would be no drama to talk about.
No, hang on, let me ask you about this, because I have a question. How many people that were friends with Kyle ever maybe had told him, maybe you're not making some good decisions here? How many of them have spoken out since he has gotten a arrest warrant now and have, said anything about it? I mean, if he was a theist, they would be all over this. I'm not even playing here. Oh, okay. They would have been all over this. Herman Mendon would have been doing a fucking blog on Pathos on it. But they supported him. The atheist community as a whole supported Kyle, generally speaking.
The online ACA
type. Yeah, I'm going to say the ACA. The ACA type.
I'm not going to say necessarily the individual members of the ACA. What I mean is like that sphere of influence.
Yeah, exactly.
That is what I mean.
Matt Dillahunty actually had said, all this comes down to
Matt Dillahunty supported Kyle, yes, specifically.
He said, so this comes down, paraphrase, this comes down to a drunk ex-boyfriend. Congratulations on your win, Kyle. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, that did not age well.
There's Ben.
Did you get a haircut?
Look at him.
I did.
I like it. I like it that way. He was trying to grow it out, and I'm like, no, this is better. I like this.
Yeah, it was driving me crazy.
Everybody comes in, everybody gushes.
Mine is also driving me crazy.
They gush over you, Steve. Not me.
Nobody gives a shit about me, man. It's all you.
We already discussed that you have far better hair than me. So.
Well, that's a given. No, that is a given.
I was trying to grow it out, but it was driving me crazy. So
I like this style. This looks good.
So it was really, really quite upsetting for me when you dyed your hair, Steve. I think if you do the beard as well, you are Frank Zappa.
Yeah, no, I like the I like this. It turned brown because, like I said, because I had a blowout done. So again, I have been working today doing stuff, and I didn't expect to stream. So if I'm not as beautiful as I usually am, I apologize. I don't care. I'm not one of those people. I'm not Kyle. I don't have to spend 3 hours on my hair before I go present. I don't care. Nobody.
Well,
hang on. He spent 3 hours on that hair.
I'll hold my comment on that. Like, it's maybe like an hour with some lines in between.
It took him an hour to get ready.
Ben, before he ran away.
But I'm the narcissist, though, right? I clearly don't really care today.
I need a drink in my hand like you, Chesh. So
I can't. Everything's closed.
Yes, it's Canadian Day.
Oh.
It's Canada Day, and I have no beer, and I can't go get beer, and I'm really mad about it.
Yes, what were you saying, darling?
My mom messaged you. She says hi and she watched the Monday show and she said she's really impressed with your courage.
Oh, thank you. It's like I said on Monday, I mean, it's good to have a support group to talk about stuff. I mean, ultimately, like, it's not easy to relive that hell that I lived through, but, you know, if it helps anybody in any way, hopefully you, Steve, get helped most.
It helps a lot of people, man. No, seriously, a lot of people. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say who it was, obviously, but I had forwarded you a message from somebody else.
Oh, yeah, that was so sweet. I loved it. Like, that
so
made
that
my
person
day.
that sent that, if they want to acknowledge who it was, that's fine. But, you know, I relayed a message just from a subscriber that I corresponded to you. So I tried to do that. By the way, Raisin Girl 13's in the live chat. Hi, Raisin Girl. It's been forever.
One comment on that, like, I know that I love to, I mask everything in humor, and sarcasm is like fluent language for me. But like, the reality is that when you go through something like that, and for anybody who's experienced, you know, any type of narcissistic or just toxic relationship, you know, it does damage. So it's not something to scoff at, that you would need, you know, you would need a support group. So that meant a lot to me, for you to, you know, for somebody on YouTube to share that with me, like, hey, if you need to talk, if you, whatever, because
yeah, he's a good guy, that guy.
But that's because I find the fire inside myself to fight back at him. But there's a brokenness inside that he left me with that's nothing to laugh about. So it meant the world to me.
yeah. He, you know, he is somebody familiar with a lot of that stuff. Now, you know, he has a lot more. Again, I'm not going to put out the name unless he puts it on the audience. But the person that you're referring to, you know, he has a lot more empathy and sympathy for Kyle than I do, because, you know, of his past. I can't agree with him on that, right? It's just, and he knows that. It's like, look, I will never forgive Kyle. It doesn't matter, right? But
I'm kind of caught in the middle, though. And I actually was talking to a friend of mine. She hasn't watched Monday's YouTube, but I was going over with her, like, kind of some of the best questions that in my mind I was asked. And one of them was about, like, you know, just freedom and, like, you know, what kind of punishment does he deserve? And, you know, I'm kind of caught in between, because I kind of lost my compassion for Kyle because of what I experienced personally. But as an empath, like, that was what toxically attracted us to each other, like, or allowed me, I guess, to get into his web of toxicity, because I like to heal people. And so I was trying to, even though I didn't know the scope of how fucked up his mind was, I was constantly trying to heal him. And I've learned that that's a toxic trait on my part, because that's where you get in these bad situations. So, but if any good, like I said, comes from it, if I can, you know, help somebody else from sharing my story, like that.
And just for clarification, he did say heal, not kill. Okay.
Oh yeah, heal. Yeah, sorry.
Yes, I like to kill people. You know, I got some spare time. I just go around.
I wanted to heal him at first, but then it quickly turned into many times I wanted to kill him. So,
right.
Just kidding.
All right, so I'm showing the actual order. Shoot, you know what? I actually blur. I do that. I forgot to blur that out. I'll blur it out afterwards. But it's public records. I mean, so, but for YouTube purposes, can't show it, so I'll take that off. But the order for arrest has at the very bottom a. Let me see how can I do this? Well, it doesn't matter. At the very bottom, if you go to the thing, it has a return receipt, which means that it is directed for them to go out and get him, and then bring him in, and then sign that order, right? So sign that it has been executed. So, because a lot of people are saying, they just have to wait for him to get pulled over. No, that's not true.
I am, by the way, keeping an eye on the what's it called? The Wake County, what is it? The Wright County, Wake County jail bookings.
Yes, I have them as well.
They have a Twitter. So I've been keeping an eye on their Twitter, looking out for that mugshot.
Not only do they have a Twitter, they actually have a data link that I found that is updated data link.
Yeah,
I'll send it to you.
I do want somebody to make a meme of this is how it was, or this is how it started, this is how it's going, and it's Kyle's old mugshot from forever ago when he got picked up at the church, and then the one now.
Yeah, I have 4 mugshots of him already. We're waiting for the 5th.
Oh, God.
So what this says is probable cause that the defendant may fail to appear, criminal contempt. And this is based upon my affidavit that I think he's not going to show, because he has 5 failure to appears. I think that my affidavit is justified that if he's had five failure to appears, he's not going to show for this, and he hasn't shown for anything else, right? And the court takes that into account. This court has initiated plenary hearing proceedings for contempt against the defendant under General Statute 5A16, has issued a show cause order and finds probable cause to believe that the defendant will not appear as required in response to that order. You are directed to take the defendant into custody and bring the defendant before a judicial official for the purpose of determining conditions of release and commitment if the defendant is unable to comply. That is a directive, and so that's why they have this return of receipt notice. Whenever you serve somebody who's like that, you get a little slip like this. They go out there to execute it, and then they put on here the date it was executed, why they weren't able to execute it. This is not waiting for him to get pulled over, as some people have said. Yes. So when people say, "Oh, it's just a bench warrant," no, it's not. This is a directive to go out and get him.
It quite literally says up the top, if this order for arrest is not served within 180 days, it must be returned to the clerk of the count in the county in which it was issued with the reason for the failure of the service noted. Yeah. That's not just if we happen to pull him over.
Yes,
that's a go and arrest him, and if you haven't, it's
up to 180 days. But of course, this is different because this is for a hearing that's in 2 weeks. They want to get him before those 2 weeks. Obviously, that's what it's for, to ensure that he shows. So they will go out there to get him, and I'm sure they'll try more than once. And if not, we'll take other steps to have him found.
So I just noticed something really funny about this jail bookings Twitter account. Their DMs are open. Do you think it would be offside of me to be like, hey, when you book Kyle Curtis, can you add a hashtag #NoBK in prison onto the end of your tweet?
Well, here's the thing. They're not affiliated with the police department. That is just somebody who does that. So it's just a regular person.
Yeah, I might reach out and be like, hey, listen, this guy's going to be coming through. Here's the arrest warrant for him. When he pops in, do you mind adding this hashtag to the end of it? Because that'd be great.
It'll be the most retweeted thing that they
I don't see it. I don't see why that would be. Like I said, it's somebody's account. It's not. They're not affiliated with the police.
Tweet.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, but I just want to make that very clear that this narrative that, it's only when he gets pulled over. No, that's not how any of this works. Yeah. So,
of course it isn't. So when have they ever been right about anything?
Yeah.
But anyways, okay.
Yes, he knows.
Careful, he's out there stealing license plates, so he's on the run.
Were you here when we said that his court date is the same day as this for that?
Kyle, you're double booked.
Yep.
But at least I have an excuse,
He's getting the book thrown at him. He's getting double jeopardy, the book thrown at him.
Yeah, at least he'll have an excuse why I didn't show up to the other one. Right, it'll be legit. Do you have a friend over?
No, my dog is being a bitch. She's barking at some unknown thing, so I'm giving him the glare.
Anyways, what's some of the other stuff that we can kind of like get out of the way about this arrest warrant? If you guys got questions or things that have come up, because again, people big mad. They're salty as shit right now.
Oh, if you want to talk about how mad people are, the salt. I think they're just trying to kill Steve by throwing so much salty tears at him that he's just been sipping on. They're going to kill his cholesterol.
I have a question. Actually,
Chris got it right. Thank you, buddy. Always a friend.
I'll say goodbye to everyone.
I'll be in touch with you about some other stuff.
Definitely. Look forward to it. See you all.
Okay.
So obviously I haven't been able to keep up with this because I have a lot of shit going on in my life, and
you have a real life.
Yeah, well, going through real estate school and starting a new job and stuff. But
I didn't even know about that. I knew about the job.
Yeah.
I like you mentioned that, but I didn't know about the real estate school.
Yeah, I was doing that actually whenever I was. That's why I was very adamant about trying to do the deposition earlier rather than later because I was about to start real estate school. So
maybe you did mention it before. Now that I think about it, you said something. That's why. Is that the reason why you didn't get the RO?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff and it's multiple stuff. But anyways, and obviously apparently people assume that I know more about Kyle because they think I'm stalking him just as much as he's stalking me. But I
know that ain't true.
But my question is how did we find his actual address? Who gave that away?
Sheriffs did. I do not know. I know that I know the sheriff's got a hold of it, but I do not know the story behind that, to be honest with you.
Oh, so as
soon as I do, I'll let people know, but I was not told.
He actually changed his address instead of pretending to change his address?
Again, I have no idea. I was just told that the sheriff's department found his address, and of course, you know, because I had to blur it out on the YouTube channel when I'm done with this, but it is a matter of public record. I mean, it's in the public record, unfortunately. So
What you're gonna what?
I have to blur it out.
Part of me wonders if he's like, if that's some unknowing victim of his that they're gonna show up at too. Like, he doesn't have a place of his own except for his mom. So like,
well, you know,
Also,
and
like,
look,
he was standing there, he got served there, then he's gonna dip, and then the police are gonna show up on the door, and he's not gonna be there.
no, just some discarded victim that was used for a purpose.
Yeah, they're gonna have to chase him around in a car that they're gonna find out was like stolen or some shit. That's why it had the wrong plates on it. And they're gonna.
I know nothing of his life. That's totally speculation.
Oh yeah, no, I look. I will testify that you want nothing to do with him whatsoever. I know how much you loathe and detest and want absolutely nothing to do with him. So that whole narrative that people are like, oh, well, you know, Ben's just a jilted lover, and I'm like, oh no, that is so not the case.
Well, the thing is like they're looking for that because that's the way a lot of them behave. Like, just look at the couple on Twitter that are okay. One of the things that I found hilarious about the amount of salt. The amount of salt is so bad that the slugs that were under the ground are now trying to escape, and they're all like, a bunch of them are coming out to try and talk about how much they hate Steve. And these people have not been they've been in Discords talking shit and like in people's DMs talking shit, but they haven't publicly been around like on Twitter talking shit. So now they're starting to show up on Twitter talking shit. It's like, how salty does the tears raining down have to be to get the slugs out of the ground to be like, no, the earth is too salty.
Think about this, Chess. There's a lot of people jumping ship, and all you have left is this concentration of sluggery. I mean, you have the diehard, and the things that they're coming up with, even for them, is just bizarre.
Oh, I put one of them was like being so weird and so just like, are you a real person? Like you're kidding, right? That I just started screenshotting and just putting what he was saying underneath my initial response that was just telling him to fuck off, right? So I told him I don't care what you have to say, bye. And then every time he shows up in my notifications, I just take a screenshot of the notification and add it to the list, and he's been going for 3 days.
And he thinks he's having a conversation with you.
He thinks he's having a conversation, and he also is like, it's really convenient or interesting that it was 3 days ago.
Yeah.
What happened 3 days ago?
And it's really interesting. It's the same person, one of the same people that I've said I never want to have any contact with again. Please never contact or have anything to do with me or any people I care about. No means no, but I'm harassing them. Somebody have done no contact with for what, 3 years, probably 4. I don't know. It's been a while.
There's a weird behavior that comes with entitlement, and I think it probably gets a little bit worse if you're suffering from narcissism, but it definitely comes with entitlement, and Ben might recognize it. And it's when somebody is like, well, why didn't you ask me for my side? After they wouldn't shut up about it for 3 days. It's like, you're telling me because I'm disagreeing with you or I'm not acknowledging what you're saying I haven't listened to your side. Your side is public. Why would I ever have to go to you in private to ask you what your side is? I also don't want to talk to you. So why would I ask you what your side is?
But they feel entitled why don't you want to talk to me? You're just mean. You don't want to talk to me.
It's toxic, manipulative entitlement with a dash of like trying to be controlling level of like.
Another element of that is with people like Kyle, people with the entitlement thing, is that there's no winning, because even if you back down and you like try to understand their point of view, you're still going to be wrong. And then if you come at them, you're still going to be wrong, because they are just entitled to beat you down no matter what route
you mean. They're going to take issue with you even if you bend down and kiss their ring?
Why do you think I blocked a lot of these people years ago, Ben? Why do you think that because if you haven't if people are starting to figure out that all these names seem to have come from a same group from years ago that were all together, that did streams together. They're all one, just toxic homunculus of bullshit.
I think the word you're looking for is is more like a Frankenstein, more of like a flesh golem.
Yeah, it's a flesh golem.
Homunculus. Yeah.
But you know, I've distanced myself from them, but they keep coming around all the time. I don't talk about them at all, but they keep coming around. But I'm the one that's being the harasser. I'm the one I never talk about some of these people ever. I never want to have anything to do with them. And yet all they do is go talk. Cheshire, why won't you talk to me? I never had an issue with you. Oh, bullshit. Yeah, okay.
In the words of Billie Eilish, that's when you say, "Get my pretty name out of your mouth."
Even if you do or do not have you not having an issue with me, it puts me in no obligation to talk to you. I don't give a shit if you have an issue with me or not.
Well, that's like we talked about the other day, like, and advice that I already knew, but we were just commiserating over it. But the worst thing for people with that entitlement and the narcissistic traits is to not respond, because they don't, like, it's all about the response. Like, they're so.
Why do you think I don't mention a lot of names on this channel?
They're going to dominate you no matter which way you go. Like, whether you let them or whether you cower to them, they're going to dominate you. But they're brilliant enough to, in that moment, but no response is the worst punishment.
That's why they come after me a lot, because I block them and I don't mention their names.
Well, that was one of the.
It's like you're not relevant to me.
Yeah.
So like, whenever I showed that Kyle, like, you're not relevant to me, that's whenever he would become so aggressive and so verbally abusive.
Notice me.
It was worse. Like, verbally abusive to me whenever I would try to back out of a fight or an argument than whenever I was actually coming at him, because his like lack of response was volatile for him. Yeah. Or my lack of response was volatile for him.
That's one of the reasons I've sort of been doing what I've been doing with this particular account. I'm not responding to them. I haven't said anything to them. I've just been screenshotting what they've said and putting it all in a list, so you can just see side by side, like the flip flop back and forth of like it's almost like a weird split personality situation. It's bizarre. I'm not having a conversation with this person.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of those texts you see, and I don't know if they're actually true texts or not, but you see them occasionally on Twitter. They'll say, like 50 weird texts, and those texts start off like, "I think you're really pretty. Would you like to have dinner?"
Oh, the nice guy
and all of a
text.
sudden, you're a bitch.
Yeah. You didn't respond to me fast enough. You're a slut.
That's what I saw when this person was messaging you, who I am well familiar with and who I will never have contact with again. And it's just like, okay, this is the behaviors that we notice. They literally show the reasons why we wanted nothing to do with these people. We don't have to do fuck all to tell people why we don't want anything to do with these people. They show people the behaviors that we noticed and shit like that we did not want to be around. We don't like being around narcissists. We don't like to be around passive-aggressive people. We don't want to be around manipulative people. We don't want to be around dishonest people. And we sure the hell don't want to be around unethical people that have all those qualities. And they all have that. That whole group had all those qualities.
Right.
Yeah, there comes a line, right? There comes a line where it's like, what a bizarre turn of events this is.
Now, I will say this, just to give one complimentary thing, and props. That particular person at least has admitted to you that all they want to do is for the lulz. They don't give a shit about anything. They're a troll, and they admitted to this. I give him props for this. He's one of the fears that.
Well, they go both ways, right? They say that they're just doing it for the lulz. Then they say, oh, well, this is because I care about this, this, and this.
Which is a part of the troll, though.
But this is serious. But it's not serious. But it's like you don't know what you're talking about anymore.
Dr. Cross says, "Truth, y'all know." Does I get close to her accent? You got an LA accent. LA accent's kind of hard to do, even though I'm from LA. I agree, LOL. Thank you, Dr. Cross. By the way, if you want a link, just let me know. Raisin Girl. Can you read Raisin Girl real quick? And I'll give Dr. Cross.
Ben, you caused him narcissistic injury. That will make many narcs lash out. I'm so sorry. I was with one for 10 years, and I had 2 kids with him. Congrats on getting out.
Oh, well, thank God I couldn't have kids.
There you go.
That I would have, but
Daddy Kyle.
I was actually responding to that, but my heart goes out to anybody who's been in any sort of situation. Like, mine's not worse than anybody's or better than anybody's. Like, we're all victims in this, victims in arms.
A little bit. It feels like that a little bit.
Right.
I don't know. Everybody's thing is different, and everybody's different thing is going to affect them in a different way. And it's important to acknowledge that it's not a competition.
Right. It's just it's so sad how much attention they get from not just their victims, but from everyone else that validates themselves. And back to the whole thing.
That's
like, you don't want that toxicity. Like, if you want to come to me and have a legitimate conversation or a debate, or you just talk about stuff, that's fine. But those people just promote an environment of disrespect and like just control and manipulation. And it's like there's no point in that. Like, I'm not going to go around and around with someone who literally the ultimate thing is for me to walk away from that. And I feel like that's the people that you're talking about. It's like, you're irrelevant to me. I don't care what you have to say. And part of me wants to convince you of my point of view, but there's a point that you come to. It's like, it doesn't even fucking matter, because you're not going to listen, and you're just spewing like this toxicity out everywhere.
Well, let me ask you guys. Again, I'm not telling anybody to go do this. I don't care. I have suggested it highly to people, and I've said, definitely do not tag me with any of these people ever. I give warnings, but if I have to like unsubscribe to people on Twitter or even block people I care about because they tag me with people I don't want to be around, I will do that. I'm very, very sincere about that. However, can we just go back to blocking all of them? I mean, are people done playing with these people? I mean, I understand why they want to. I get it. And they do expose themselves. But at this point, what good does it do? I don't understand what more we can show people about their behaviors that they haven't already shown.
Because blocking them gives them that narcissistic supply.
That's
again.
fine.
Your best
Let them
bet
have
is
it.
if your best bet is to, this goes back to our the narcissistic supply, which we did a entire Caffeine Corner episode on. If anybody's interested in hearing a little bit about this more on the technical side, but your best bet to cut off narcissistic supply is not to block. It's to do nothing. It is to do absolutely nothing. We're already doing too much having this conversation. On the other hand, this is about something that Ben brought up, which I think is very interesting. People who enable this behavior either through allowance and or inaction. When you choose to do nothing, you are making a choice. You've done nothing. That is a situation where you have made a choice to take an action, and the action was nothing. When you choose to do nothing about somebody being toxic, even if it's not directed at you, you are allowing and encouraging and enabling that behavior because there are no consequences. So for the people who allowed and enabled Jimmy, to the people who have allowed and enabled Kyle, and I'm not talking about the people who have been taking advantage of Kyle since the Non-Sequitur blew up. I'm talking about the people who supported him right just after the fact, and the people who allowed and enabled him to get to that point. I'm talking about Shannon coming and screaming at Reds and Steve and Boole as if they had any other option because she didn't understand or know what was talking about. I'm talking about Paul pulling on these toxic, narcissistic assholes that are lying about a lot of us over and over, race baiting dick waffles and bringing them onto their shows and signal boosting them, allowing them to spread their lies about people and their toxic behavior further and further. You're enabling it. You're allowing it. You're encouraging it. By doing so, anybody who has these people on is making this worse. This is a conversation we tried to have with Nick Suter. We tried to explain to Nick
for a very
that
long
these
time,
people,
in detail.
These people are not giving back to your channel. They're only pulling you down because they're using your name to give themselves credibility for their blatant bullshit, which is bad for you.
Okay, so let me give you a little, and I'm, by the way, not disagreeing with anything you just said. However, let me one little bit of pushback though. Oh, by the way, I will say hi to Kenny Rhodes. Dr. Rose in the audience. So, hey, Kenny. Yeah, it's been a long time, my friend. Missed you. We'll catch up. Seriously. By the way, I don't watch any of your debates. I just can't do it. But I love you, bro. You know that. So, Cheshire, I understand what you're saying. I think that any channel that has these people on, any show that has these people on, I can't watch. And I think
they take on a degree of responsibility by having these people on.
I think they're ethically compromised to have these people on. All of them. Every single person that's ever had these on, knowing what they know now, going forward at this point, I think has some type of ethical issues. in some capacity. Now, I'm not saying they're bad people, right? Let me finish.
No.
A lot of these people I really support, but when they knowingly have people on that have now has been demonstrated to have been doing shady shit, lying, supporting content creators that have gone out of the way to harm me and people I care about, I have a little issue with that. But when it comes to like the Twitter stuff, when you do not block them, you're allowing these people to see this information and going and make all these comments, you know, and then they get fed that way. If everybody blocked them, they wouldn't be able to leave anything anywhere.
The problem is that's never going to work.
You're probably right.
And that's never going to work because it's not how. It's because of the platform though, not because of your concept.
The way Twitter works, right?
The concept works fine. The platform doesn't allow for it because the answer is only they don't have you. They're going to grab you off of another screen cap and they're going to pony it onto another conversation somewhere else. There's going to be one person in the thread that comments that doesn't have them blocked. That will not work, unfortunately. And it's an issue with the platform, not necessarily an issue with the concept. If it was like, oh, we own a club and we're just not going to let these people in, like physically into our club, yeah, that would just work because they can't come in the club anymore.
The Facebook group, like the GDC and the Facebook group, none of them are in there any longer. Right, they've all been purged, and it's nice and quiet, and we have nice conversations. Yes,
right, exactly, and that's totally fine, perfectly fine, makes complete sense. It just doesn't on a platform like Twitter, or on a platform like YouTube with YouTube comments, on a platform like even just like public part of Facebook, not going to work.
Yeah, and they make sock accounts, but here, like I said, the sock accounts I block instantly. I won't even respond to an account that hasn't been around for 6 months nowadays. It's not going to happen. I just block, and I have. It saves me a hell of a lot of heartache because I don't give a shit. Chess likes she entertains this stuff, which is perfectly fine. I don't care. She's perfectly allowed to. We have very different.
I am very specific about what I entertain, though. There is a method behind my madness.
Yeah.
Don't be like me.
Oh, but didn't I get accused? Didn't I get accused recently of having a block list that I told all my followers that if you don't follow this, you can't can't like be one of the cool kids. You can't hang out with me. I think somebody actually said that. Yes, just some capacity. And then I was like, no, I never had a block list.
Steve ever claimed to be the cool kid?
Right, but not the
did
word
Steve
they used,
lie to you and tell you he was the cool kid?
That's not what they said. I'm being hyperbolic. But the point being is that I never put out such a list. Cheshire made hers public if people wanted it, but it was never anybody had to follow it. Nobody gave a shit.
It was actually even more specific than this, but I'm not getting.
Yeah, but see how people twist things. They're like, they were so assertive. But Steve, you did this. I'm like, no, the fuck I didn't. What are you talking about? That's what I see happen all the time because these people are so dishonest and they change these stories so much they can't get their facts straight. And we happen to be very factual people. We make sure to be almost myopic in how nuanced we are and fastidious we are with things being correct to a fault, probably, and they're not. And so they just screw everything up. It's like a blender brain. They just stick it all together in the head, and whatever comes out, that's the fact to them.
You know what might be really fun and a potential way to just kind of get a bit of a kick out of this? If me and you just leave Twitter as soon as NonSequitur's back. Just leave.
What would they do?
I don't know. They're already shitting bricks right now over this arrest warrant.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I really use Twitter anymore is for putting out stuff. I put my blogs out there, and I talk about things I like to talk about. So
I just like using it to connect with people who follow and watch and stuff. It's just funny conversations.
I don't pay attention to any of them until somebody repeats something and shows it and happen to run across it. Other than that, I don't ever look at any of their stuff.
Yep.
Hi, Ben. By the way, Ben's just going, you guys are forgetting about me. Don't you love me any longer?
No, you're fine. One thing I did want to back up and kind of piggyback off of one thing that Chesh said, because I don't disagree with anything that you said. It just kind of goes back to what I said about how with people like that, there's no winning. And I can only speak on my personal experience, but I'm not sure because I agree with you. Don't block them because that's a waste of my time and my effort and energy on one level. But also, I think you're still going to get the same reaction from people because for Kyle, if I would block him, he would create another account to harass me.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah, but we're the trolls. I have the same Twitter that I've always used.
Yeah, and that was literally just for me to not have to stare at it, but then I'm still having to stare at your volatile text messages, your harassment. Or if I'm not responding, he's still going to do the same shit.
But then why
He's
is that?
gonna
Why
try
does all that
to-
whole group use sock accounts? Like, I mean, oh my God, we're just inundated with sock accounts, and yet I
literally why
use the same
he
account that I've had
borrows
since
these
2016.
people. Like,
One
you just have to-
account that I use.
Like, we're the victims, but we're having to change our numbers and like get detailed
It's bizarre.
security because it's like you are doing anything to validate yourself. And as soon as that validation, whether it's blocking, whether it's just ignoring them or not commenting, they're still going to come at you.
Yeah,
Because
well,
that they've lost their control.
this is what I usually have done. Like, for example, one of the people that have been engaging with all these people, I highly recommended to them. They probably shouldn't, but I was like, okay, you do you. Right? I mean, you do what you want to do. But then they come back recently and they're like, man, I shouldn't have not gotten involved with any of that. Those people are freaking mental. I'm like, I tried to tell you what you know. But people have to find out their own way, and I get it, right? And it does expose them more, and I understand as well. I personally just will block them all. What you guys do is your own business. Knock yourself out.
That's a personal decision.
Choice. Yeah. And I'm not saying there's any right answer. I think Chester's right. It's because of the platform. Of Twitter is the way it is. Makes it very difficult. Unlike Facebook, where you have a group where you can control who comes in and out, and when trolls pop in, you say bye-bye.
Right.
So yes, I get that the way the platform's set up.
Very telltale sign that may help people out early on, and I'm obviously not as familiar with these people as you and Chester are, but like I know the name Shannon very well because Kyle was always like, "Oh, my best friend, BFF," and then Casey and all these other people.
Oh dear.
But the thing is like you learn when you go through situations like this, you learn that there is an MO that those people have because they are looking for a fight.
Yeah.
They're always looking for a fight. They're inserting themselves in fights that they know nothing about, or they have one side of the story. And you'll learn that some people want to learn the truth, and some people come into something having a part of the truth or even no truth at all, and just want to insert themselves, and they're looking for a fight. And those are the toxic people that I don't fuck with. I'm like, no, because you like, for example, like it's not even worth my time. But one of those things, I guess, I found out through like people's comments. Like Kyle and his army was spreading this rumor or this idea or theory that like every time we got in an argument, I would kick him out of my house, and I was being petty. And I'm like, so I'm the petty one. It's like I can't face an argument. It's like, no, that was a very few isolated situations where I asked him to leave. But the reality is, it's not even worth me responding to because it is my house. I never agreed. I never told him he could move in here. So as a homeowner, I have the right to tell somebody to go home. I have the right to say, I don't want you here. So it's nobody else's fucking business if I am being petty or if I just want my space or whatever. That's not your business. It's not even worth me responding to because you're inserting yourself in a situation you know nothing about. Like you're taking one person's opinion.
Yeah.
Like I never
Jimmy
let him
Snow.
move here.
Sorry.
Invited him into my house to live permanently, but it is a very entrapment situation whenever somebody's in your house and you don't have the right to say go.
I
Like,
think
and I agree
what
with anybody who has a
sorry.
logical brain would relate to that. Like you have a right to your space, and if you can't tell somebody to leave and they actually respect that, then fuck you. You're just looking for a fight. You're looking to insert yourself in something you don't even know.
Yeah, there's definitely a degree of self-insertion into situations that are none of your business, and that is a thing that happens on the internet a lot. And there's a degree of that you just gotta kind of let it go. There's also like I know Steve used to feel like, in my opinion, this is what I took away. This is a while ago. I don't think it's nearly as bad as it was, or even if it's still the same. I thought that Steve kind of had a bit of a feeling of responsibility to make sure that information was correct on the internet, particularly about him. Not because he felt he needed to necessarily defend himself 24/7, but he didn't want people just being incorrect in general when he could easily just answer the question and fix it. Now, I don't think that's quite... I let people be wrong about me on the internet all the time. Even when there are people that support me, they're just like, oh yeah, Chess this. And I'm like, that's not right. And I just keep scrolling because it's like, I'm sorry, it's no offense to you, but it is not... I cannot keep up with the amount of shit that goes on. I cannot be responsible for correcting every single minutia detail that doesn't actually matter to anything on the internet. I don't have the time or the energy or the care.
I only do it to people that I think are honest agents that just happen to get people wrong. If they're trolling, I don't.
You do now.
I don't. Yeah, because I don't care now.
Way
I mean,
better.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
if
once
somebody's
again,
trolling,
kind
they
of-
put out misinformation. I'm like, do your thing. But if somebody who's, like don't know, or they actually seem like a real person and they get something wrong, I correct them. And a lot of times they thank me for it. And most people have said, oh, like, for example, there's that Reddit group that has to do with Jimmy. Talk freely on Jimmy or something along those lines. Really nice people, been really cordial. They have been inquisitive. And they said, hey, I've heard this, blah, blah, blah. And then I tell them the answer and they appreciate
there's a
it.
difference between somebody coming to you and asking a question and somebody just passively getting something wrong. And you're like, no. Steve, it's...
Well, it kind of goes back to what I said. Like, there's certain MOs with people in that group. And, like, one of the most laughable things that I would ever, like, whenever I think about Kyle is, like, how he would talk about the channel and, like, it was clashing ideologies and looking for truth and being skeptics and stuff like that. Narcissists, first of all, will never be skeptics because narcissists are the truth in themselves. Skeptics look for the truth outside themselves. So there's no reason or use in arguing with a narcissist because they are the truth. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. If it's full, like, gaslighting bullshit, they are the truth to themselves, whereas true skeptics look for truth outside themselves. And sometimes we are going to get things wrong. Sometimes we're going to give misinformation, and we have to go back and be like, oh, sorry, that was wrong on my part. And kudos to you, Steve. You try to check yourself before you put shit out there. But narcissists don't care because
I think that's kind of normative, or I would think it would be, but it's obviously
well,
not.
I mean, right now, one of them is commenting about what's going to happen with the show when Steve gets it back, who's going to be around, who's not, who's got credibility, and these people are saying who's got credibility and who doesn't, and talking about what they know Steve is telling me in private. You want to talk about inserting yourself into something you have no fucking idea about?
I'll tell you what. After this lawsuit, I'll make this offer. I'll make this offer. After this lawsuit's over, if someone wants to give me $10,000, I'll release every message I've ever had with Cheshire and I to you for $10,000. I think Cheshire, you can. I'll give you 10% of that. I can be fair. I'll give you half of it. This is half our conversation.
Oh, me? I'm getting half?
Yeah, $5,000 each, man. If somebody wants our conversations, I would offer that up.
I mean, I don't know who would want to read that, but okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It's not as cute as you guys. You'd be better off getting their conversations. Right. It's way more adorable.
Well, look what happened.
But there is something that I do want to touch on before we move on from this. But is that people will say something like, oh, well, that's guilt by association. You're saying that these people are hanging out with these people, therefore they're guilty of the same crimes. No, we're specifically not saying that. We're specifically saying you're enabling and allowing this other person to do those things. You're not committing those crimes yourself. You're just making it easier for this person to do the thing. That is specifically not guilt by association.
And it was so funny because I remember some narrators were like, oh my God, Steve and Ben have to release their messages to the court. And I said, okay. I gave them to the court. I was like, yay! I gave my lawyer my entire Twitter history. I gave to my lawyer. I said, knock yourself out. But it's so funny because a lot of people are like, oh, the truth's going to come out. The truth's going to come out. And she had seen our messages and she's like, oh, that's so adorable. They're so cute.
Oh my God, it's so cute. I read through them in my reading of all the litigation.
We just
go watch it.
People who asked for those because they were hoping that they spin back way before.
They think they fabricate this shit, and then when there's no evidence for it, they sound disappointed. But I know they're full of shit.
Speaking about how they are commenting on things and information they have no possible way of knowing. There's a certain crafty Kilo that's been making claims like that. It's like, wait, if people stop and think about it for a second, it's like, wait, how do you know that?
People don't ask that question very often. How do you
difference between claims and questions too? Like, I don't fuck with claims.
Right.
Keno says, Keno Browner says, I've known Steve for over 10 years in real life. Yes, she used to live next to me. She used to visit me for work. I used to go to where she worked. He's always been an open and honest person and straight to the point. That is my nature. That's why I love Steve, and you better have proof to back it up. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, my online personage is how I am in real life. This is how I've been most of my life. And so people like Keno that has known me in real life where I used to live, this isn't anything new. This isn't some fabricated thing that I've had. I mean, when I got on the internet in 2013, go look at my original videos. Nothing's changed on that.
I think that there's also nothing to be said necessarily for people that were supporting Kyle before any of us really knew any of this. I think that people should not be held accountable for associating with somebody who was bullying shit in the background that nobody knew about. None of us knew how Kyle was treating Ben, right?
No. Oh.
I mean, I was
None of us knew.
like anybody else, and
But I mean, but Kyle got so
Right,
toxic that
but-
that they all have kind of, you know, abandoned him. But unfortunately, for some reason, they still support a lot of the people that were contributing to Kyle's behavior, and they are still on those channels.
Well, it's that, but it's also like with everything that's come out and the deafening silence on this issue is inexcusable, in my opinion. Does that make them overall bad people? No, not necessarily. It makes them irresponsible at best, and at worst, it makes them complicit and or compliant, and even worse, maybe that they're colluding also for some, and that's all going to apply to depending on who you're referring to.
Well,
It is. Sorry, go ahead.
Right.
No, this comes back to something that I think I said in the original interview that I did with Reds, and like just from my like side, like I dated the motherfucker, and like Kyle, and it undoubtedly has a very attractive screen presence, and I said that in Red's, interview. I was like, and even up close and personal, he's very larger than life. He is very grandiose, and as you learn narcissist, you learn that's a red flag. But somebody who wasn't very well studied up on it, like, so I don't fault anyone who, and like also I'm not discrediting the people that were helped and enjoyed the Non-Sequitur Show, because Steve, y'all had a good channel going that wouldn't have got to where it was if you didn't have good content. So people that were part of that community and people who grew from that community or got things like whether it's attributed to Kyle or whatever, like that's fine. But once this all came up, like the people who fade into the background and stayed silent, like that's fine. They're just listening, they're learning or whatever. The people that are making claims that are totally off base, who are talking about shit that they know nothing of, like those should be held accountable, because it's like you don't know what you're talking about.
Who is speaking out against those people?
But that also
wait one second.
The thing is that also applies to if you are platforming people that are doing this thing.
Right.
That's not you doing nothing. That's not you being silent on the issue. That's you allowing, complying, and encouraging this area and not this area. You're dead silent on this area. You're at best being unclear, and at worst you are clearly supporting one side. And at this point, you deserve as much shit as the people who are directly.
Let me ask my audience. How many people have seen a lot of these content creators that used to be on the Non-Sequitur Show as guest or co-host condemn any of the actions for the people who have been supporting Kyle and got Kyle to where he is now? Have an arrest warrant. People that have given him misinformation. People have given him bad advice. People have outright lied about me and about Cheshire and about Reds and about Ben. People saying things like, "Oh, Steve knew that Ben lied." When did this ever happen?
Yeah.
Or Steve knew that Ben, that Kyle moved. Or
This is
Steve did this.
This
Steve
is a
did that.
situation where people with good reputations.
Who has spoken out about this? I'm just curious. Has anybody seen any other content creator from that side of the fence speak out against any of those people? As we would call out our own. Have they done it? No, they have not.
The only thing I've seen is Steve deserves to get paid.
That is, and that's one of the bullshit things I've ever seen in my life. That they think that somehow just alleviates all the other bullshit, right? Well, yeah, of course I think that most of them would, say that because they recognize if they don't, they're going to look even worse because, oh, well, yeah, Steve worked for a year and a half, of course we don't think he should get paid. Now, one person has said that. Nobody called him out on that, but whatever. But that is not an excuse.
Is that who I think it was?
Yes.
Was that like right at the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like, it just boggles my mind that they have been so quiet. It's like crickets to point out that these people that they've been platforming and putting on their shows.
Well, these are people that are supporting people who are attacking Ben.
No, I'm not mean, but just fun. Well,
it's like Ben doesn't know. Ben doesn't have a play. Like he's not fucking. These are people that are specifically going.
Ben.
I'm not buying.
Ben had a lease with him.
I'm just telling the truth. So, and that's what I was going to say. Anything good about what you just said, Steve, is that means that we are on the far other spectrum from people like Kyle and people like support him is that we're not looking for validation. We're not getting it. So yeah, we're a little, like, okay, let's point out this reality. But those narcissists are looking for validation, and that's why they're all together. And they're like,
but they all supported, like you said. Look, the people that supported Kyle initially, we obviously can't fault them. We all did. That's fine. We get that. But after things come out, and you still have crickets, and you still have the people that shat on the Non-Sequitur Show fans, shat on me, shat on you, shat on Cheshire, giving them a platform and giving them a voice and supporting them. I have issues with this. And I'm not like Cheshire said, I'm not saying they're bad people, but what the fuck?
I think a lot of their viewers don't know, so they think that they're able to get. It's interesting what people think that they're able to get away with publicly. It makes me curious about how they behave in reality.
Like, I don't know for a fact. I can't, I don't know, but maybe y'all can enlighten me. But I believe, weren't people still donating to his GoFundMe after Scotty Lee Forbes resigned?
$1,000 more, I think.
How
it came out to be.
Stupid can you be? His own lawyer fired him, and you're still supporting him. So
I'm not convinced it's actually multiple people, because we're going to read the names one of these days. We're going to go through it, and it's freaking hilarious. It seems like maybe one person just created multiple accounts under many names, because I can't imagine that many people going in and wanting to spend money and put some funny name. They're not that coordinated. It seems like there's probably one or two people that did this, and it's probably Minister Sobriety, if anything, because how much money did Minister Sobriety spend to suck up to his master to get shat on? It's like, good job.
Jack of Hearts makes an interesting point in the chat that says a lot of guests have had zero voice on the Non-Sequitur Show situation because they didn't want to be targeted by friends or foes of the facts.
I agree. That makes sense.
There's a point where that is acceptable and a point where I think that's unacceptable. When you've been active publicly about the situation, whether it's tertiarily or whether it's via that scale I talked about, you've put yourself in a very, very precarious position, but also you're a fucking coward. Because the thing is one of the reasons why Steve may or may not have such a hard time for such a long time is because he's alone. And he's alone, and you're actively forcing him to take all of this on by himself. If there were enough larger creators that put their foot down as soon as they actually realized that Kyle had lied to them, and they said, no, Kyle lied to us, we are sorry, Steve, fuck anybody who's okay with this shit, that would have put you're now dealing with the number of bullies do not outnumber the target anymore. And so, it's a matter of, if you're good people and you're working together and you're against this kind of harassment and abuse, then stand by your word and do it. Oh, no, you're going to catch some flack on Twitter? Oh, well, shit. Then don't bitch about Steve complaining that he's getting flack on Twitter because of your actions. Bullshit.
What she means by that is, look, I obviously have a support network with Reds and Chesh early on, and Bullinator. That was about the big ones, and Mania. But for the most part, when it came to content creators, I was by myself. I knew I was in the right. I always knew I was in the right. Everything I said was the God honest truth. And I mean, in some cases, yes, people have come to me in private, and I've worked things out with them. I get that. And I'm not going to say that they need to come out in public. I understand that Jess and I differ on this. She thinks if it's in public, then it should be, done in public. And I'm not saying she's not wrong for that point of view. However, I just don't
Different
care.
People, if you don't disagree, if you agree or disagree.
But
maybe it's a history with people. It's like, if you stay the fuck out of it, it's fine. But when you insert yourself...
But as she had said, have these content creators who skeptics that did not apply any skepticism. Right? Because I had an open letter, not just to Mr. Atheist, but if you notice in the title, it was to Mr. Atheist and other content creators. Right? Not one of me took me up on that offer. So, when they started realizing that Kyle was full of shit, and they, issued their non-apologies, that made him look 10,000 times worse. They didn't have to go, hey, look, Steve's a great guy, blah, blah. No, it didn't have to be anything like that. All they needed to say was, look, yes, Kyle lied. Kyle's full of shit and all this stuff. Steve is correct on this stuff. And, we can no longer support Kyle. Doesn't mean they have to support me.
It doesn't mean they have to be friends with Steve.
But it was a big fuck you to me and the fans that they did.
Yeah, you don't have to be friends with Steve to fucking stand up for what you pretend you believe in. Yeah. None of these people, I don't think, ought to be calling themselves humanists.
No, God,
especially
no.
since they were like your friends and they were people that worked with you and like co-workers, or these were people that said that they were your friends and they were going to support anybody who was in these kinds of a situation because they want support. These are also people who ask for support that don't do shit. Now, I also think there's a big difference between people who were guests on the show once in a while. Like, I don't expect JF to show up. Like, yeah. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, the guest hosts.
Yeah.
The people who were involved regularly with the show. The people who were creators that built their channels off your back. Those types of people are the ones that I'm referring to.
Do you think, an ethical issue, do you think that the people that were the co-host, right, that did issue those statements, those public statements that shat on me, shat on the fans, and basically said, "Oh, my friend lied to me," do you think they have moral culpability for what's happening to Kyle now? Because I sure do. I really think that they do. To some degree.
They enabled him. Absolutely.
Him. Yes, absolutely. Yes. That's what I think. Yeah. I mean,
I legally no.
No, I'm not talking about legally. I'm talking about ethically.
They ought to, in my opinion, they ought to feel guilty about what is happening to Kyle.
Yeah, because Kyle is going to jail. And a part of it is because of the words and efforts and things done by some of those co-hosts. And I will specifically name them.
Even as recently as last year. Yeah, even as recently as last year. And that's just publicly. That's not even privately. We have no idea. We might find out soon what conversations were actually going on in the background with them. And so that might blow up a whole different fucking can of worms. And I don't mean open, I mean explode. It's going to get everywhere.
Isn't it kind of funny, though, that Jimmy Snow, Mr. Atheist, is having issues with that whole Gabby Hanna and Rachel Oates things? And yet, if people would have listened to me early on, that probably would never happen either.
Steve says, "I told you so," I guess.
I do say I told you so a lot. I'm not going to front. Steve was right. But, I mean, come on. I mean, seriously. I mean, they're recognizing the same patterns of behavior that we're recognizing.
I don't know. Who was? You forget Kyle. Forget you. Who was friends with KJ out of that group?
Kyle.
GE, Casey, Shannon, Jimmy, all of them were friends and purported to be friends with KJ. Not a single one have spoken out about the bullshit Katie's been up to, whether it be about you or whether it be about the bunches of other people she tries to fucking constantly shit on.
I wrote 2 blogs explaining the situation I have with Katie. You did videos on it. None of them have spoken out on that. To denounce the fact
for
that
all
people.
We know, they're still friends in the background.
Somebody uses the legal system as a weapon, and the Me Too movement as a weapon, the gay LGBT community as a weapon, and they don't say shit about it. And yet they're the ones standing up for all these human stuff. It's not even somebody,
it's their friend.
Yeah. I mean, it boggles my mind.
People who think these people are just like, oh, they're just on the sidelines, or they're just watching, oh, maybe they'll speak out later. It's too fucking late. It's too fucking late.
Yeah, whatever.
Fuck off.
Yeah, look, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not dwelling on it, kind of thing. It's just like
I personally would not accept
now, I don't think I care, but whatever.
I wouldn't accept a goddamn thing from any of these people at this point, because now it's just like, oh well, now I know you're the winning side, even though I hoped for the last 2 years that you weren't.
You mean like Nate Brody going, oh, I must have misread this. 3 days after there's an arrest warrant, kind of thing, whatever it was. It's like, oh, I must have misread this. It's like, you know what? You cannot wait for the end result and then say, oh, well, I knew this all along, and I changed your position. You can't do that. There's been 2 years of fuckery and 2 years of hell that me and my friends have had to go through because people didn't stand up and do the right thing initially.
I have no patience for this kind of shit. I have zero, nada. I have no patience for this bullshit. Oh, I'm in the middle, and I don't really deal with these people, but meanwhile, they have been dealing with these people for the past 2 years.
And it's affected Ben.
Go look at go. I encourage you to, I'm not encouraging you guys to comment or anything, but I implore you, go look at the ex-co-hosts of the NonSequitur Show. Go look at their channels and go look at who they're promoting on their channels.
Absolutely. They're all
even people who are like tertiary people, so like Misha Griffith, Paula Gia, all of them. Go look at every single one of them, and you tell me who you see promoting whom and what bullshit. Go.
Do you also
Fufu, get off of this dude, we're done here. Get off of this stream.
I'm wrapping it up. I got
Go do it.
I got 6 minutes.
I'm giving you homework.
Don't you think also because if people would have stepped in earlier and not have enabled Kyle, that what happened to Ben wouldn't have happened to him? I mean, obviously that was a consequence of them enabling Kyle, that them giving Kyle the benefit of doubt as a friend, rather than going, hey, there's some issues with what Kyle's saying here. I need to look more deeply into this, rather than just blindly support him and falsely accuse me of shit that never happened.
If you are friends with someone and you are concerned about their behavior and you want to continue calling yourself their friend, you have a degree of responsibility to look into what your friend is fucking doing. If you're concerned about your friend and you just decide to be like, oh no, this is fine, oh no, this is fine, no, and just agree with them, and they're sitting in the back corner like smoking crack, you're just like, well, I didn't know. Well, no, you're just a shitty friend then, and stop pretending you didn't have, we're not a problem here.
It wasn't just
we're
Dr.
encouraging
Misha
it.
Griffith that drank the Kool-Aid. It was also Nick Suter. And if you guys had noticed,
Sure,
and
Nick,
I'll leave you guys with this, and then you guys can wrap it up.
Jim Hall. Yeah, that fucking guy.
So I'm not saying this is the fact, but it's highly suspected. Atheist Pastor was in here earlier, and he had mentioned that certain people had came to him and said, if you promote Steve, we'll make sure that you are canceled. We'll make sure that you never have an atheist guest. We'll make sure that you are shunned in the atheist community. He's not the only one that has had that happen to. I know for a fact he's not the only one, because people have come to me and said that they have been told this. Now, some of them may come out eventually and say it in public. If you want to on Twitter, by all means, I'm not stopping. I'm not asking you to. But there are people that I know have come to me in private, and I'm obviously going to keep that confidential. However, don't you think it's likely that some of those people have had those people go to them as well? I know for a fact Nick did. I know Nick was talking to those people. And look, like Cheshire said, look at the people that are on those channels now.
I implore you, go, and you don't need us to tell you what people are and are not doing. What I'm going to do is describe to you this scale of I'm pretend neutral, but I'm choosing to take an action, and the action is nothing over here and something over here. Go and look for yourselves. You don't need me to tell you who to look for, who to talk to, what they did. Go look yourselves.
Yep, I agree. And I took Misha Griffith hard. I cared about her. I mean, we helped her get started on her channel. Why she threw me under the bus and shat all over me for no reason, I have still to this day will never understand. But it is what it is. Nick, same way. I will never understand it. I just don't get it. Maybe they thought they would get promoted from their channel. Maybe they heard some bullshit and they instead of asking me about it. Well, Nick was full on. He has no excuse.
That was business Nick. He made business decisions for his business.
That's all he's scared about. He was like, oh, well, this is better for my channel. Fuck you, Steve. Okay.
The thing was, it wasn't. It was a terrible business decision.
I think a lot of them have made bad decisions. I mean, just because, look, here's the thing. They all have succeeded pretty well in views, and that's what they think is a success. But I got to tell you, every one of those people that have supported Kyle, that has still continues to support any of those people, right, actively, I think it calls into question their overall integrity level. I, honest to God, do. But I'll leave this out, then I'm going to give Ben the last word because I think he's earned it. Wrote it last $50. Wait for the tsunami of retcon as reality sets in. It already has, man. It already has. Things have been retconned to no end, and yet
the salt.
They can't retcon shit when my audience knows what the fuck has happened. Even there are so many people that have been saying things that are so goddamn wrong that it's like they're desperate because like no that's not the case. That never happened. I
have two things, and then I'll give it to Ben.
Watch your thing on Friday. You're doing one of them on Nate Bait.
Yeah. I say two things. I'll hand it over to Ben.
Right.
One, and now I've lost what I was saying. Oh, people retconning. Good luck retconning the court records, which is one of the reasons why I read them out.
But her channel, and she has them all.
And secondly, instead of arguing with these people, if they're going to say stuff about the court records, just tell these people to go take it up with the court then.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, what are you going to leave us with? Some pearls of wisdom, my friend.
Oh, well, I've just been taking it in because obviously that's more...
There's a lot.
We got to figure out a way to get either Ben to California or maybe I'll find a way to get a trip to North Carolina.
But I woke up Oh, sir.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. No, we will make it happen.
Hey, you can do what Kyle failed to do. Bring me to California. Actually, I'll bring myself.
Oh, well, but see, the difference is I want to make
everything
you pay
we
for it. Didn't Kyle tell you had plane tickets you never had once?
Or just a plane ticket. Whenever he bailed on me twice. So he promised to take me to California once, and I had my suspicions, and I was like, and then it fell through, and he had left like literally. Like the few days before we were supposed to leave from Charlotte, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm wrapped up with some family bullshit, and we're not gonna be able to go." I was like, "Okay, whatever." And then the next time, like, it was blatantly obvious, and I'd taken a week off. It was over my birthday. I'd taken a week off for my birthday, and like as close as it got, I was like, "This is not happening." Like, call bullshit. And then I questioned him, and I accused him of lying to me, and he made me feel like a piece of shit, and went to such lengths as to forge a plane ticket that was sent to me to make me feel like a piece of shit. And it was a plane ticket for himself the year before he had even met me.
He forged a plane ticket. He forged a plane ticket to you.
Altered the destination, the departure, the time, the date, and the name on the ticket, which was for me. And I didn't find that out until a year later when I'm involved in this court case bullshit. And I was like, let me take that. And I knew the scope of like his psychopath behavior. I was like, let me take that confirmation number and put it into American Airlines website. And lo and behold, that's the only thing he didn't forge or edit.
You know what we call that? Practice. Because that's practice for when he submitted false evidence to the court. That was a trial run to see if he could do it. Yeah, unbelievable. No, I want to go to North Carolina, and I want to bring like Chesh and a few other people because I want to hang out with your friends. They look cool as shit, man.
I don't live here because the legal system is fucked. But
can you imagine Ben taking us out?
Yeah. Right?
No, you always posting all these fun pictures with. You always posting all these fun pictures with your friends and shit. I'm like, man, they look cool to hang out with, man.
Yeah,
I got nobody down here to be bored, but we'll figure something out. But anyways, okay, so let's wrap this up, guys. We appreciate it all. Let's go. No,
I don't know if you wanted me to comment on it, but like, back to the question that you had said, like, if these supporters of Kyle, if they were calling him out, would it have helped me in any way? He kept that part of his life private from me. I had pretty much very little interaction with those people. So I don't think so, because that was a journey I had to experience on my own.
I disagree, because if they would have not, it got prolonged because a lot of people were helping him, and the case would have been over a year ago.
Right.
And you would have never been involved in that.
But the one point I did want to make, and this is just maybe me as an empath or whatever, is I think there should be a little bit of compassion and grace extended to certain people, because I think that even in the group of people that we want to hate or whatever because of their association to Kyle, I think that people were legitimately hurt by Kyle.
I agree with that.
One of his good friends, who was mentioned earlier, she was messaging me. She got my personal number, and she was catching on to Kyle as I was catching on to Kyle. He officiated their wedding. They had I get it. Like, you had a connection, and now you're catching on, and there's so you were hurt. Like, you have to figure it out at your own rate. I'm figuring it out my own rate. But then there's malicious people like Katie Joy, who fucking trolled my Instagram whenever this whole thing came out. And she was like trying to get me to admit things. And she was the first person, by the way.
I don't think I've heard this. Please continue. I don't recollect this.
First person that I ever told that Kyle drug rapes me.
Cheshire, did you know anything about?
And she was pretending.
Fucking, of course she was.
Jesus fucking Christ! Are you serious?
Like, I always questioned whether because I didn't know who the fuck she was. I always questioned whether he was on meth or whatever, and I'm like, she's the first person who knew that until the other day. So
I didn't even know you ever talked with her. I didn't know you even knew her name, to be honest with you. Why would you?
I made my Instagram private. And that's when Unirock created this whole scenario about like, oh, now Ben's hiding shit because he made his Instagram private. I was like, because I am now a public figure and everybody's trying to troll me. And I'm like, nope, bitch, get off. Like, no. So
excuse me while I just go tweet that Ben Posh just nuked our fucking stream again.
Dude, I'm going to have you on every goddamn episode for the rest of my time on YouTube. Because every time you come on, you say some shit that fucking, I don't even know how to respond. I don't even know. And that's unusual for me, but holy shit.
All right. All right, so let me make this incredibly clear. All of these people that enabled Kyle on the Non-Sequitur Show, so basically anybody who wasn't Boole and Steve, are all intertwined and intermingled. Well, he is separated. I list him as more of like a guest rather than like whatever, but fine. If you want to throw Reds in there, for sure. I'm talking like Kyle and his, like the Non-Sequitur Show becoming the Kyle and Friends show. So all of Kyle's friends that supported him through this, all of Kyle's buddies that he brought on to do shows, are also toxically intermingled with each other. And none of them called out Katie Joy, and she was going after Ben when, like, Ben was realizing that shit was going down. Like, what the fuckity shitballs?
I don't know if people, because I never talked about that, except for
you never told me this.
But I held onto it because she was pretending to be like a in my corner, and then all of a sudden Unirock was having twisted information. I was like, that bitch is the one who was giving it to him.
They despise each other now.
Oh my god!
They despise each other now.
So people out there that kind of follow the Katie Joy stuff, who have been kind of tracking what Katie Joy has done, add Ben to the list of fucking people she tries to like sneak up into being buddy with, so she can write fucking stories.
Ben, do you happen to have these messages still?
She's the first person who ever heard out of, like, not my mouth because I was typing it through Instagram, but like that said, Kyle dosed me with meth and was like, oh my God, are you serious? And like compassionately, like, I always suspected they had a problem. I don't know who the fuck you are. And
what's the date on these? Do you have these messages? I mean, would you be minding me them in public? And you can do it on Cheshire's channel, not mine. I don't care.
I can find anyway. It's in September because it's right after this all blew up.
Was it okay? What year? 2019 or 2020?
2019.
Yeah, right whenever
2019.
Right after I contacted
the last time, if I remember correctly, the last date that I talked to Katie on Twitter was September 22nd of 2019, give or take.
Right after.
Oh God. All right. So
those people are a piece of shit because you are literally.
So Ben, you know those people you were saying to be compassionate about because like Kyle married them and they just started to figure that out? They're friends with Katie at the time.
I said that. Yeah. I don't know what's gone on since then. All I know is a one-sided perspective.
Well, I can tell you that Casey, Casey, as early as last year, was still encouraging and being friendly with Kyle on Twitter.
See, but here's the thing. See, Ben has been so out of it. He doesn't really know any about that history. And so this is why it's all like, when he says these things, I don't think he really even realizes how impactful they are because...
No, I just say it from my perspective, which I don't want people to write down, take as a fact. I'm just saying, like... I would be...
I get that. But you got... You're so innocent. He's so innocent.
So I supported him, like, I was fought with him for 10 months of a year's time, but, like, I had to come to a point where I was like, you know what, enough's enough, you're a fraud, get out of my life. And so what I was saying is that some people take a little bit longer to put two and two together. And at that point, like, I have to judge, like, you're stupid for taking that long, whatever, but are you worthy of my compassion right now? Because
I think you and Chess should get together on that, and Chess might want to, like... interview for that or do a little more
oh my god, actually that would be hilarious, but we'd have to talk about it a little bit.
I don't want to use trauma for tea at all, but I think there's more to it than that.
I don't think it would be talking about that too much. It would be more talking about KJ trying to weasel her way into your fucking life and what that experience was.
But I'm the one that was harassing. I was the one,
fucking crazy bitch.
And I'm pretty sure there's going to be some more bombshells coming out, not from Ben,
Brilliantest asses is Ben Edward Snowden.
Yeah, right. Oh my god, Bombshell Ben. Yeah, Edward Snowden.
Bombshell Ben. Can we start that hashtag? Bombshell Ben.
It works on multiple levels because he's.
I don't even mean to. It's just like it's facts for me.
But I mean, seriously, you never told me anything like that.
It's just these like flippant little comments that are just like, what? Hold on.
And by the way, I do want people to notice.
It's amazing.
Nobody makes light of what have happened to Ben. What have happened to Ben is egregious, is beyond, our understanding to understand how
horrible.
somebody could ever do that with Ben. We do a way of coping things, because when things are that horrific, it's a natural response. But Ben knows that we have the utmost sympathy for the crap that he's been through. Right? I adore him.
Well, there's a difference between talking about the severity and the seriousness, and maybe one day, I don't think we're ever going to do a stream about the actual deep, harsh reality. Maybe one day in the future, if you would want to do an interview about that, we can sit down and have the time and the place interview to do that. This is just not that place.
Yeah, I want the interactions
covenants.
with everybody. I want to see how all that group blended together, as I've always said that they did.
I will sum what you just said, Cheshire, up in like one simple statement. Like, the only deeper sympathy that I deserve than any of you guys or any of the supporters of the NonSequitur Show is that, unfortunately, I slept in the same bed with him.
Yeah,
that is pretty rough.
Yeah, dude. No offense, but you had it worse than me.
I know.
Just saying.
But that was my own fault.
Yeah.
Well, not always, apparently.
Right? Sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right, guys. I gotta go after.
Oh
that.
my God!
I'm processing. I'm processing, dude.
Every time we get off with Ben, it's just like, okay, I gotta go have a nap and like let this seep into my brain.
I picked a bad time not to drink today.
Bombshell Ben.
I don't mean to.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
All right, let
Ben.
me leave you guys with this then. There's certain people that people know that I never want to contact me. They know who they are. Those people. The people that know who that should never contact me. But if you're not one of those people, if you have been on the sidelines, if you've been somebody that may have supported Kyle, but you weren't personally a piece of shit to me, and I think people can probably figure out if they have been or not, then by all means contact me.
If it's your first time, if you've been supporting the shitlords that have been going on, that have been doing this shit to Ben, that have been doing and are friends with people purportedly to be doing this shit with Ben, you probably ought to take a fucking double take, look the fuck around you. Are you friends with Jimmy Snow? You might want to take a double fucking look around you and check who you're fucking supporting. Mm-hmm. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, because there's an arrest warrant out for this motherfucker. You may or may not want to actually maybe say fucking something about your position on this shit when you're supporting and platforming people who are saying this is a lie and bullshit, and that this guy ought to be getting away with what he's done to these two people. Fuck you.
Yep.
Fuck you.
Cheshire's throwing you guys them a lifeline. Take the out.
Take the out.
Because I said I was not going to ever talk about people that have come to me.
If you're like, oh my God, if fucking Jimmy and Casey and GE had instead been like willing to take sympathy and played the sympathy card to be like, oh my God, my friend's an asshole, I didn't realize Steve was right about this, I still fucking hate Steve for these other reasons, but fuck that shit, they would have been clean break.
Yeah,
but no.
People that I keep my promises, and there have been a few people that came to me early on in private, and we worked things out, and I have not talked about any of them, have I, Josh? And and I'm not going to mention anybody, but you know that I keep my promises on that. But there have other people that have not. I
don't even care if people have gone to Steve in private. That's not good enough. You have a public audience that sees one thing publicly but doesn't see what you're doing in private. Not good enough.
So this is your.
I don't even pull my glasses off. I'd be serious mode if I was taking my glasses off. I'm not even pulling them off.
This is giving them an out. Kyle is going to jail. Okay, he's going to jail. Might be even going to prison, but he is probably almost a certainty going to jail. I don't know why that they do not take this time, the opportunity to denounce anything they've ever had to do with him, and anybody that's associated with him, anybody that streamed with him after being on, after they kicked me off. Anybody that streamed with him has a moral culpable responsibility to what's the fact that Kyle's getting arrested. Every one of them. Go ahead, Ben.
How about they let go of their own egos and not be butthurt, and then they would.
Yeah, this is like head bashingly. The thing that bothers me about it is just that it's so simple and so stupid. You're being so dumb, and it's like, are you willfully being this stupid to try and plead ignorance, or are you actually that dense that you do not understand that people can't read your private DM, so they have no idea that you're supporting Steve in the background while you shit down his throat publicly. Fuck you.
All right.
Abusive ass fucking behavior.
I'm never going to end this if I can't. I keep telling Ben he's going to get the last
bitch
word.
about this
Every time I say that,
forever.
no, Ben, you can't have the last word because you say something else. We're going to.
Yeah, my dog-
Yeah, well, you're gonna bomb us again.
Save us for next time. Okay.
My dog hates me right now.
Okay. You know what? Spend time with Doggo. Doggo more important.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.